Money affects almost every part of life. It affects how you feel when you wake up in the morning, how you handle pressure, how you make choices, and how calm you can be when life gets difficult. Some people earn money and still feel stressed every day. Others have less and still find peace. The difference is not only how much money they have. It is how they think about money, how they use it, and how they respond when things go wrong. In this audiobook, you will hear 20 life-changing money lessons that can help you build better habits, reduce stress, and make stronger decisions. Each lesson is simple, practical, and focused on real life. No confusing words, no empty advice. Just clear ideas you can use in your daily life. As you listen, you may notice some truths that feel uncomfortable at first. That is normal. Real change often begins with honesty. It begins the moment you stop avoiding your money habits and start facing them with calm focus. Stay with this journey because the lessons ahead can help you think differently, act more wisely, and build a life that feels more secure and more in control. Chapter 1. Accept responsibility for every financial decision you make. Money changes lives, but money also reveals character. It shows how a person thinks under pressure, how they react to fear, how they handle temptation, and how much control they have over their own choices. Many people spend years believing that financial stress comes from low income alone, but income is only one part of the story. The deeper truth is that money problems often begin with decisions. Some decisions are small and ordinary: a coffee bought out of habit, a payment delayed because it felt easier to ignore the bill, a purchase made to feel better after a hard day, a loan accepted without fully understanding the terms, a promise to start saving next month that never becomes real. Over time, these choices build a life. They also build a pattern. Accepting responsibility for every financial decision is one of the most powerful changes a person can make. It does not mean blaming yourself for everything. It does not mean pretending the world is fair or that hard times do not exist. It means facing the truth clearly. It means refusing to live in denial. It means stopping the habit of saying the economy, the boss, the family, the market, the friends, or the past is always the reason you are where you are. Those things can influence your life, but they do not remove your power to choose. Once a person understands that, growth begins. Real growth. The kind that stays. Responsibility is not a burden when it is understood correctly. It is freedom. A person who accepts responsibility is no longer waiting for rescue. They are no longer depending on luck to save them. They are no longer living with the quiet hope that their situation will somehow improve on its own. They are awake. They are honest. They are active. They begin to see that every financial decision carries a consequence, and every consequence teaches something. Some lessons are expensive. Some are uncomfortable. Some arrive after a mistake that should have been avoided. But once the lesson is learned, a person becomes harder to fool and harder to break. A responsible financial life begins with a simple question: what am I doing with the money I already have? That question matters more than most people realize. Many people focus only on what they do not have. They think about the salary they wish they had, the business they wish had worked, the chance they wish had come sooner. But money does not grow through wishing. It grows through decisions made with what is already in hand. How much is saved? How much is spent? What is bought? What is delayed? What is avoided? What is protected? What is planned? These daily choices matter because they shape the future in quiet ways, long before the results become visible. A person who accepts responsibility stops treating money like something that happens to them. Money is not a force that drifts through life and lands wherever it wants. It responds to behavior, it responds to habits, it responds to self-control. That is why two people can earn the same amount and end up in completely different places. One person buys relief today and regret tomorrow. The other person builds stability one decision at a time. One person gives every spare dollar away through impulse and pressure. The other keeps enough distance between income and spending to create peace. The difference is not always knowledge. Often it is ownership. Ownership begins with truth. The truth may be uncomfortable at first, but it is always useful. If debt has grown too large, the first step is to admit it. If spending has become careless, the first step is to admit it. If money has been ignored, the first step is to admit it. If there is fear around checking account balances, that fear must be faced. If there is shame around past choices, that shame must be understood and then released. Denial keeps a person stuck. Truth gives a person a starting point. A starting point is not failure. It is where progress becomes possible. When people avoid responsibility, they often hand their power to emotions. They spend when they are stressed. They borrow when they are impatient. They delay planning when they feel overwhelmed. They ignore the numbers when the numbers feel unpleasant. They make promises to themselves when they are calm and break them when they are tired. This is how money loses order. This is how pressure grows. The emotional mind wants comfort now. The responsible mind asks what the cost will be later. That pause is where wisdom begins. The most practical way to accept responsibility is to begin observing every money decision without judgment and without excuses. This is not about becoming harsh with yourself. It is about becoming honest. Every time money moves, it should be possible to explain why. Why was this bought? Why was this delayed? Why was this saved? Why was this borrowed? Why was this ignored? If the answer is weak, that is useful information. Weak answers usually reveal habits that need to change. Strong answers reveal discipline. The habit of explaining your choices trains the mind to stop acting automatically. A person does not become financially responsible by making one perfect decision. They become responsible by building a pattern. That pattern begins with awareness. Awareness means knowing where the money comes from and where it goes. It means knowing what obligations already exist. It means knowing what is truly necessary and what is only emotional noise. Many people live with vague money habits. They know they are earning something and spending something, but they do not know the full picture. That vagueness creates stress. Clarity reduces stress. When the picture becomes clear, action becomes easier. One of the strongest habits a person can build is to review money regularly. Not once a year. Not only when something goes wrong. Regular review creates responsibility because it prevents surprise. It reveals patterns early. It shows where waste is hiding. It shows whether progress is real or imagined. A short weekly review can change a life over time. It can show which expenses are necessary, which ones are emotional, and which ones are simply habits left untouched. It can reveal whether savings are growing or shrinking. It can show whether income is being respected or wasted. This kind of review is not exciting, but it is powerful. Many strong lives are built on simple routines that no one applauds. Responsibility also means understanding that freedom and discipline are connected. People often want the freedom that money can bring, without accepting the discipline required to keep it. They want calm, but they avoid structure. They want security, but they resist planning. They want growth, but they refuse sacrifice. This does not work. A person cannot live carelessly and expect peace. Financial peace is usually the result of quiet discipline repeated often. Saving before spending, paying what is owed on time, avoiding unnecessary debt, learning before investing, waiting before buying. These actions may not feel dramatic, but they create stability. A major part of responsibility is learning to separate needs from wants. This sounds simple, but it is one of the most difficult lessons in modern life, because so much of spending is tied to emotion, image, and impulse. People often buy not because they need something, but because they want relief, attention, comfort, or status. The item becomes a temporary solution to a deeper feeling. That is why the relief fades quickly. The emotional need remains. A responsible person learns to pause and ask whether the purchase solves a real problem or only covers a feeling for a short time. That question alone can save a great deal of money and regret. Another important step is refusing to compare your financial life to the financial life of others. Comparison creates pressure, and pressure often leads to bad choices. A person sees what someone else owns and begins to feel behind. They spend to catch up. They borrow to appear stable. They create a life that looks good for a moment, but is weak underneath. Responsibility means choosing truth over appearance. It means understanding that a peaceful life is better than an impressive one. It means refusing to trade long-term strength for short-term approval. This is not easy, especially in a world that praises visible success more than silent stability. But the person who learns this early gains a serious advantage. Money decisions should not be made to impress people who do not carry the cost. This is a lesson that saves many people from long seasons of stress. A purchase made for approval often becomes a burden in private. A car payment, a house payment, a subscription, a loan, a lifestyle expense. All of these can become heavy when they were chosen mainly to satisfy outside expectations. Responsibility brings the courage to ask a hard question. Am I buying this because it helps my life, or because I want others to think well of me? That question can protect a person from a great deal of waste. Being responsible with money also means being honest about habits that weaken self-respect. Some people avoid opening bills because they fear bad news. Some avoid checking balances because they do not want to feel guilty. Some hide purchases from family or from themselves. Some keep making promises to change later while doing nothing today. These habits create a split between what is real and what is admitted. That split is exhausting. It weakens confidence. A person cannot build strength while avoiding the truth. Facing the truth may feel painful at first, but the pain is brief compared to the peace that follows. A practical money life requires systems, not moods. Moods change. Systems stay. Responsibility shows up in systems. A simple budget is one system. Automatic saving is another. A debt repayment plan is another. A spending limit is another. A calendar reminder for bills is another. A decision rule for purchases over a certain amount is another. Systems remove the need to rely on willpower alone. They make it easier to do the right thing even on tired days, busy days, or discouraged days. People often wait for motivation before they act, but motivation is unreliable. Responsibility builds structures that make action possible even without strong motivation. One powerful system is the habit of delaying non-essential purchases. Waiting a day, a week, or even a month before buying something unnecessary gives the mind room to think clearly. Many purchases are emotional in the moment and unimportant the next day. Delay exposes the difference between desire and need. It also trains patience. Patience is a financial skill. It protects savings. It reduces regret. It helps a person avoid trading tomorrow's peace for today's impulse. A responsible person does not buy everything they can afford. They buy what fits their life and their values. Another important part of responsibility is knowing that mistakes are expensive teachers. Everyone makes financial mistakes. Some people spend too fast. Some borrow too much. Some trust the wrong person. Some wait too long. Some invest without learning. Some save nothing because life feels too uncertain. Mistakes are part of the process, but repeating the same mistake without reflection is a choice. Responsibility means learning quickly. It means asking what happened, why it happened, and what will be done differently next time. A person who learns from mistakes becomes wiser. A person who denies mistakes becomes vulnerable. There is also a strong emotional benefit to financial responsibility. It reduces shame. It reduces anxiety. It reduces the feeling of being out of control. Many people think money stress comes only from low numbers, but often the stress comes from uncertainty and disorganization. When a person knows where they stand, the mind settles. Even if the situation is difficult, clarity brings relief. A hard truth is easier to carry than a vague fear. Responsibility creates clarity. Clarity creates steadiness. Steadiness creates better choices. Better choices create better results. This is how progress happens in ordinary life. A responsible person also learns to respect time. Time is one of the greatest financial resources because every decision made today carries forward. Money spent carelessly in 1 month can create stress for many months. A loan taken lightly can affect years. A habit of saving today can create freedom later. A skill learned now can raise income in the future. A person who understands time thinks beyond the moment. They see that small actions compound. That is why responsible people are patient with progress. They do not need instant proof to keep going. They trust the process because they understand how change works. It helps to think of responsibility as a form of self-respect. When a person handles money with care, they send a message to themselves. My life matters enough to be managed well. My future matters enough to prepare for. My peace matters enough to protect. My time matters enough not to waste. My effort matters enough to direct wisely. This mindset changes behavior. People often become more disciplined, not because someone forced them, but because they finally began to value themselves enough to act with care. A life of responsibility also requires accepting that no one is coming to fix everything. That realization can feel heavy at first, but it is also freeing. When a person stops waiting for rescue, they begin to act. They stop looking for the perfect opportunity and start using the present one. They stop hoping money problems will disappear and start building habits that solve them. They stop speaking as though the past controls the future and begin making choices that create a better future. This shift is deeply important. It moves a person from passivity to power. There will always be circumstances that are difficult. Expenses rise, income changes, emergencies appear, plans fail, markets move. Life does not ask for permission before becoming complicated. Responsibility does not deny this. It simply refuses to surrender to it. A responsible person builds cushion. They save for trouble before trouble arrives. They keep margin in their life. They do not spend every dollar the moment they get it. They leave room for uncertainty. That margin is not wasted money. It is protection. It is peace. It is wisdom in action. To accept responsibility is also to stop romanticizing quick fixes. Fast money often comes with hidden risks. Easy solutions often create harder problems. A person who wants to improve their life must learn to respect slow, steady progress. Consistent saving beats random saving. Consistent learn beats occasional inspiration. Consistent debt repayment beats denial. Consistent discipline beats dramatic promises. This is the kind of wisdom that changes a person from the inside out. It teaches that financial strength is built the same way physical strength is built. Repetition, recovery from mistakes, commitment over time. A practical way to live this lesson is to create a simple rule for money decisions. Before spending, ask whether the choice fits your values, your goals, and your current reality. If it does not fit all three, pause. This simple pause can prevent many painful mistakes. Values keep the decision honest. Goals keep it directed. Reality keeps it grounded. Without these checks, people often spend in ways that weaken the life they actually want. Responsibility means making decisions that support the future instead of borrowing from it. It also means learning to say no. No to pressure, no to impulse, no to image, no to unnecessary debt, no to spending that creates stress, no to choices that feel exciting but damage stability. Saying no is not a loss when it protects something more valuable. Many people feel weak because they cannot refuse things that do not serve them. Once they learn to say no clearly, their life becomes calmer and more controlled. Money improves when the owner of the money is able to set limits. Accepting responsibility for financial decisions is not only about money, it changes how a person lives overall. It improves decision-making, it strengthens patience, it reduces blame, it builds maturity, it creates a calmer relationship with uncertainty. It teaches emotional control. It encourages honest reflection. It helps a person become more trustworthy because people who manage their own life well tend to manage their obligations well too. This is why money habits often shape identity. A disciplined financial life often supports a disciplined personal life. A chaotic financial life often reflects deeper patterns that deserve attention. No one becomes responsible overnight. It is a process. A person may begin with one area, then improve another, then another. Maybe the first step is opening the bank account and looking at the numbers honestly. Maybe the next step is writing down expenses for 7 days. Maybe the next step is canceling one unnecessary subscription. Maybe the next step is creating a small savings target. Maybe the next step is paying one debt more aggressively. These may seem small, but small actions repeated with purpose create real change. Large change is usually made from small acts of honesty. The greatest danger is not making a mistake. The greatest danger is living without learning from it. A person who accepts responsibility becomes wiser with every season because every season teaches them something. They stop seeing problems as proof of failure and start seeing them as instructions. They begin to understand that financial peace is not found in perfection. It is found in honesty, structure, restraint, and steady effort. These are ordinary virtues, but they are powerful. They build a life that does not collapse under pressure. There is dignity in handling money well. There is dignity in knowing what you owe and what you own. There is dignity in spending with care. There is dignity in saving, even when the amount is small. There is dignity in refusing debt that would bring later pain. There is dignity in choosing a simple life over a careless one. There is dignity in being the kind of person who does not need to hide from bills, balances, or responsibilities. That dignity creates confidence. Confidence creates better actions. Better actions create better outcomes. A financially responsible person does not need to be rich to begin. Responsibility starts now, at the current level of income, with the current level of knowledge, in the current season of life. It begins where a person stands. That is important because many people delay change until they earn more. But earning more without responsibility often only increases waste. The lesson must come before the money grows. Otherwise, more money simply expands the same problems. Responsibility teaches the skill needed to handle more later. This is why the first step is so important. Accepting responsibility is the moment a person stops being a victim of every financial choice and starts becoming the author of their financial future. It does not guarantee easy days. It does not remove difficulty. It does not make mistakes impossible, but it gives a person a strong foundation. And a strong foundation matters more than appearance, more than comfort, and more than temporary success. The path forward is simple, but not always easy. Tell the truth about your money. Track where it goes, decide with care, delay what is unnecessary, save before you spend, learn from mistakes. Stop blaming what you cannot control and focus on what you can. Protect your future by honoring your present choices. Respect your income, respect your time, respect your peace, respect the life you are building. That is what responsibility looks like in everyday life. A person who accepts responsibility for every financial decision becomes calmer, stronger, and more stable. They stop living reactively and start living with purpose. They stop expecting life to rescue them and start doing the work that rescue requires. They learn that money is not only about numbers, it is about character, it is about discipline, it is about honesty, it is about the courage to face reality and improve it. When that lesson is learned, life begins to change in ways that last. The decision you make today with your money is not small. It is shaping your future. It is teaching your mind what to repeat. It is building the person you will become. Choose carefully, choose honestly, choose with respect for your future self. That is how real financial strength begins. Chapter 2. Build discipline by tracking every expense daily. Discipline is not something a person is born with. It is built through repeated actions that are often simple but rarely easy. When it comes to money, discipline shows itself in the small daily choices that most people ignore. It is not only about earning more or saving more. It is about knowing exactly what is happening with every unit of money that passes through your hands. This is where real control begins. Not in big financial moves, but in the quiet act of paying attention. Tracking every expense daily is one of the most powerful habits a person can develop, yet it is often avoided because it feels uncomfortable. It forces you to see the truth. It removes the illusion that things are under control when they are not. It shows patterns that were hidden behind habit and routine. Many people believe they know where their money goes, but when they begin to track it carefully, they realize how much has been slipping away unnoticed. This realization is not meant to create guilt. It is meant to create awareness, because awareness is the foundation of change. A disciplined financial life starts with clarity. Without clarity, decisions are based on guesswork. Guesswork leads to mistakes. When you track every expense, you replace guesswork with facts. You begin to see numbers instead of assumptions. You understand how much you are actually spending on food, transportation, entertainment, and small daily habits that once felt insignificant. These small habits are often the ones that quietly weaken financial stability. They do not look dangerous in the moment, but over time they create pressure. The act of tracking expenses is not about restriction. It is about understanding. When you understand your behavior, you gain the ability to change it. Without understanding, change becomes random and temporary. Many people try to fix their finances by cutting expenses suddenly, but they do not know what they are cutting or why. This leads to frustration. They feel deprived without seeing real progress. Tracking removes that confusion. It shows where adjustments will have the most impact. It allows you to act with purpose instead of reacting with emotion. At first, tracking may feel slow and unnecessary. Writing down every purchase or recording it on a device can seem like extra work. The mind may resist it. It may say this is too small to matter or this is not worth recording. That resistance is a signal. It shows how used you are to moving without awareness. Discipline begins when you act even when the task feels small. Each entry is a reminder that your money deserves attention. Each entry builds the habit of staying present with your choices. Consistency is more important than perfection in this process. You do not need a perfect system. You need a reliable one. It can be a simple notebook, a note on your phone, or an app that tracks spending. The method does not matter as much as the commitment to use it every day. When you make this a daily action, it becomes part of your routine. It no longer feels like a task. It becomes a normal part of how you live. This is how discipline grows. It moves from effort to habit. Tracking expenses also reveals emotional patterns. You may notice that spending increases when you feel stressed, bored, or tired. You may see that certain times of day lead to unnecessary purchases. You may recognize that specific environments or people influence your spending decisions. This awareness is valuable because it connects money to behavior. Once you see the connection, you can begin to respond differently. Instead of reacting automatically, you can pause and choose a better action. A person who tracks their expenses develops a stronger relationship with reality. They no longer rely on memory, which is often unreliable when it comes to money. Memory tends to ignore small purchases and focus only on larger ones. This creates a false sense of control. Tracking corrects this by capturing everything, even the smallest amounts. Over time, these small amounts add up, and seeing them clearly can change how you think about spending. You begin to respect the value of each decision. This habit also strengthens self-control. When you know that every expense will be recorded, you become more mindful before making a purchase. You start asking yourself whether the expense is necessary or simply a reaction to a feeling. This pause is powerful. It creates space between impulse and action. In that space, better decisions are made. You begin to spend with intention rather than habit. Discipline in tracking expenses does not mean eliminating all enjoyment. It means choosing enjoyment wisely. When you see your spending clearly, you can decide what truly adds value to your life. You can keep the things that matter and reduce the ones that do not. This creates a sense of balance. You are not denying yourself, but you are also not losing control. You are directing your money in a way that supports your well-being. Another benefit of tracking is that it prepares you for planning. Without knowing your current spending, it is difficult to create a realistic plan for saving or investing. Plans based on unclear information often fail. When you track your expenses, you build a strong foundation for future decisions. You know how much you can save without creating unnecessary stress. You understand where adjustments can be made without damaging your daily life. This makes planning more effective and sustainable. There will be days when you forget to track an expense. There will be moments when you feel tired or distracted. This is normal. Discipline is not about never making mistakes. It is about returning to the habit quickly. When you miss a day, do not allow it to become a pattern. Go back and fill in what you can remember. Then continue. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistency over time. Tracking expenses also builds confidence. When you know your numbers, you feel more in control. You are not guessing or hoping. You are aware. This awareness reduces anxiety because uncertainty is one of the main sources of stress. When you remove uncertainty, you create a sense of stability. Even if your situation is not perfect, you know where you stand. This allows you to make better decisions moving forward. A disciplined approach to money requires honesty. Tracking expenses forces you to be honest with yourself. It shows you habits that you may prefer to ignore. It reveals patterns that need to change. This honesty can feel uncomfortable, but it is necessary for growth. Without it, improvement remains shallow. With it, change becomes real and lasting. It is also important to review your tracked expenses regularly. Recording is only the first step. Reviewing allows you to learn from what you have recorded. At the end of each week, take a few moments to look at your spending. Identify areas where you can improve. Notice where you made strong decisions. This reflection reinforces positive behavior and highlights areas that need attention. Over time, this process sharpens your judgment. When you review your expenses, focus on progress rather than perfection. Look for small improvements. Maybe you reduced unnecessary spending in one category. Maybe you avoided an impulse purchase. Maybe you became more aware of your habits. These small changes matter. They build momentum. They show that your efforts are working. This encourages you to continue. Discipline is built through repetition. Each day you track your expenses. You are reinforcing a new identity. You are becoming someone who pays attention, someone who takes control, someone who values stability over impulse. This identity shift is powerful because it affects other areas of your life. When you develop discipline with money, it often carries over into other habits. You become more organized, more focused, and more intentional in your actions. It is easy to underestimate the impact of this habit because it seems simple. But simple actions, when repeated consistently, create significant results. Over months and years, tracking expenses can change your financial direction completely. It helps you avoid waste, increase savings, and make better decisions. It creates a strong foundation for growth. There is also a sense of respect that comes with this practice. When you track your expenses, you are showing respect for your effort. Every unit of money you earn represents time and energy. When you spend without awareness, you are treating that effort carelessly. When you track your spending, you are honoring the work that went into earning it. This shift in mindset strengthens your commitment to making wise decisions. Discipline is not always comfortable. There will be moments when tracking feels repetitive or unnecessary. There will be times when you would rather ignore your spending and move on. These moments are important. They test your commitment. When you continue despite discomfort, you are building strength. This strength makes it easier to handle larger challenges in the future. A person who tracks their expenses daily is not controlled by money. They are in control of it. They make decisions based on facts, not assumptions. They act with intention, not impulse. They build stability through awareness. This level of control does not happen by chance. It is the result of consistent effort. Over time, this habit becomes part of who you are. You no longer need to force yourself to track expenses. It becomes automatic. You naturally think about your spending. You naturally review your choices. This is the point where discipline turns into identity. When that happens, maintaining control becomes easier. Tracking expenses also prepares you for future opportunities. When your finances are organized, you are in a better position to take advantage of chances that come your way. Whether it is an investment, a business idea, or a personal goal, you have the clarity and control needed to act. Without this foundation, opportunities may be missed or handled poorly. The habit of tracking every expense daily is not about limiting your life. It is about improving it. It gives you the information needed to make better choices. It strengthens your discipline. It builds your confidence. It reduces stress. It creates a path towards stability and growth. In the end, discipline with money is not about restriction. It is about direction. It is about choosing where your money goes instead of wondering where it went. It is about creating a life that is stable, intentional, and aligned with your values. Tracking your expenses daily is one of the simplest and most effective ways to achieve this. Each day you choose to track your spending, you are taking a step toward control. Each entry is a reminder that your future is shaped by your actions today. Stay consistent, stay honest, stay focused. Over time, these small daily efforts will build a strong and steady financial life. Chapter 3. Develop patience to grow wealth through consistent actions. Wealth does not grow at the speed most people expect. It grows quietly, often without visible signs in the beginning, and that is where many lose focus. The mind wants quick results. It wants proof that effort is working. It wants visible progress that can be felt and seen immediately. When that proof does not appear, doubt begins to rise. People start questioning their actions. They look for faster ways, easier ways, and shortcuts that promise quick returns. This is where patience becomes a defining trait. Without patience, consistency breaks. Without consistency, progress disappears. Patience is not about waiting without action. It is about continuing to act with discipline even when results are slow. It is about trusting that small, repeated efforts will eventually lead to meaningful change. Many people misunderstand this. They believe patience means doing nothing and hoping for improvement. That is not patience. That is passivity. Real patience is active. It shows up every day in decisions that may not feel important in the moment but carry weight over time. When it comes to money, consistent actions often look simple. Saving a portion of income regularly, avoiding unnecessary spending, learning about better ways to manage and grow money, improving skills that can increase earning potential. These actions do not create dramatic change overnight. That is why they are easy to ignore. But over time, they create a powerful effect. The person who stays consistent begins to move forward while others remain stuck, distracted by the search for faster results. The challenge is not knowing what to do. The challenge is staying committed when the outcome feels distant. This is where many people lose direction. They start strong, full of motivation, but as time passes and the excitement fades, they begin to slow down. They skip small actions. They delay decisions. They lose focus. This gradual loss of consistency stops progress. The results they expected never arrive, not because the method failed, but because the effort was not sustained. A patient person understands that progress is not always visible. They do not rely on constant rewards to stay committed. They rely on discipline. They accept that some days will feel slow, even frustrating. They continue anyway. This mindset separates those who achieve long-term stability from those who remain in cycles of starting and stopping. The ability to continue without immediate reward is rare, but it is one of the most valuable traits a person can develop. One of the most important ways to build patience is to shift focus from outcomes to actions. Instead of thinking about how much wealth you want to have, focus on what you need to do today. Save a fixed amount. Track your spending. Learn something new about money. Improve one small habit. When attention stays on actions, it becomes easier to stay consistent. Outcomes will follow, but they take time. Actions are within your control. That is where effort should be placed. Another key aspect of patience is understanding how growth actually works. Growth is not linear. It does not move in a straight line where each effort produces an equal result. In the beginning, progress may feel almost invisible. effort seems to produce very little change. This is the stage where many give up. They assume their actions are not working. They look for something new. They abandon what could have worked if they had stayed consistent. What they do not realize is that progress often builds slowly at first and then accelerates later. Those who continue through the slow phase are the ones who experience meaningful growth. There is also a psychological challenge that comes with waiting. When results take time, the mind starts to compare. It looks at others who appear to be moving faster. It questions why progress feels slower. This comparison creates pressure. It can lead to impatience and poor decisions. A person may take unnecessary risks or abandon their plan in an attempt to catch up. This often leads to setbacks. Patience requires focusing on your own path. It requires trusting your process instead of reacting to what others are doing. Consistent actions require structure. Without structure, effort becomes inconsistent. A simple routine can help maintain discipline. Decide how much you will save each month. Set a schedule for reviewing your finances. Allocate time for learning and improving your skills. These actions do not need to be complicated. They need to be repeated. When actions are planned, it becomes easier to follow through. When actions are left to mood or motivation, they often do not happen. There will be moments when patience is tested. Unexpected expenses may arise. Progress may slow down. Results may not match expectations. These moments can create frustration. It may feel like all the effort is not worth it. This is where discipline must take over. Instead of reacting emotionally, return to your actions. Continue saving. Continue learning. Continue improving. Temporary setbacks do not define the outcome unless they cause you to stop. Another important part of patience is managing expectations. Unrealistic expectations create unnecessary pressure. When people expect quick results, they become disappointed when progress is slow. This disappointment leads to frustration, and frustration leads to poor decisions. Setting realistic expectations allows you to stay calm. It helps you understand that growth takes time. It removes the need for constant validation. You begin to trust the process instead of demanding immediate proof. Patience also protects against impulsive decisions. When a person lacks patience, they are more likely to chase opportunities that promise fast returns. These opportunities often come with higher risk and less certainty. Without careful evaluation, they can lead to loss. A patient person takes time to think. They do not rush into decisions. They evaluate risks. They consider long-term consequences. This approach reduces mistakes and increases the chance of steady progress. Developing patience requires practice. It is not something that appears suddenly. It is built through repeated experiences where you choose to stay consistent despite slow progress. Each time you continue without immediate reward, you strengthen your ability to remain disciplined. Over time, this becomes part of your character. You begin to approach challenges with calmness instead of urgency. There is also a sense of confidence that comes with patience. When you trust your actions and remain consistent, you develop belief in your ability to handle challenges. You no longer feel the need to rush or force results. You understand that progress will come if you continue to act with discipline. This confidence reduces stress. It allows you to make decisions with clarity instead of pressure. It is important to recognize that patience does not mean ignoring opportunities. It means approaching them with careful thought. When an opportunity appears, evaluate it based on your goals and current situation. Do not rush because it seems urgent. Take time to understand it. Make decisions that align with your long-term plan. This balance between patience and awareness allows you to move forward without unnecessary risk. Consistent actions create momentum. At first, the impact may seem small. Over time, these actions begin to build on each other. Savings grow, knowledge increases, skills improve, opportunities become more accessible. This momentum creates a sense of progress. It reinforces the value of patience. You begin to see that your efforts are working. Even if the results took time to appear, there will always be distractions. New ideas, trends, and opportunities will appear, promising faster results. It is easy to become distracted by these. A patient person stays focused. They do not chase every new idea. They stick to their plan. They understand that switching constantly prevents progress. Focus allows consistent actions to compound over time. Patience also requires emotional control. When emotions take over, decisions become reactive. Fear may cause hesitation. Excitement may lead to impulsive actions. Frustration may lead to quitting. Controlling these emotions is essential for maintaining consistency. This does not mean ignoring feelings. It means not allowing them to dictate your actions. Decisions should be based on logic and long-term goals, not temporary emotions. A strong mindset is built through repeated experiences of staying disciplined. Each time you resist the urge to quit, you become stronger. Each time you choose consistency over comfort, you build resilience. This resilience is important because it allows you to continue even when circumstances are difficult. It keeps you moving forward when others stop. Patience also teaches you to value progress, no matter how small. Instead of focusing only on large outcomes, you begin to appreciate small improvements, saving a small amount regularly, reducing unnecessary expenses, learning a new concept. These small actions are steps toward a larger goal. Recognizing them helps maintain motivation. It shows that progress is happening. Even if it is not dramatic, it is important to remember that wealth is not only about money. It is also about habits, mindset, and discipline. These elements take time to develop. They cannot be rushed. A person who builds these qualities gradually creates a strong foundation. This foundation supports long-term success. Without it, even large amounts of money can be lost. The journey of building wealth through consistent actions is not always exciting. It often involves routine and repetition. This can feel boring at times. Many people seek excitement and variety, which leads them away from consistency. A patient person accepts that routine is part of the process. They understand that repetition is necessary for growth. They find value in the process, not just the outcome. Time is a powerful factor in this process. The longer you stay consistent, the greater the impact of your actions. Small efforts accumulate. They create results that may not have been possible through short-term actions alone. This is why patience is essential. It allows time to work in your favor. Without patience, you interrupt the process before it has a chance to produce results. There is also a sense of peace that comes with patience. When you are not constantly chasing quick results, you reduce stress. You focus on what you can control. You accept that some things take time. This creates a calmer approach to money and life. Decisions become more thoughtful. Actions become more deliberate. This leads to better outcomes. A patient person does not measure success only by immediate results. They measure it by consistency of actions. They understand that staying committed is an achievement in itself. Results will follow, but they are not the only measure of progress. This perspective allows them to stay focused without becoming discouraged. In the end, developing patience to grow wealth through consistent actions is about mastering yourself. It is about controlling your reactions, maintaining discipline, and trusting the process. It is about choosing steady progress over quick gains. It is about understanding that meaningful change takes time and effort. Each day you choose to act consistently, you are building something valuable. Each decision to save, learn, or improve adds to your future. These actions may seem small now, but over time they create a strong and stable financial life. Stay committed to the process. Stay focused on your actions. Trust that your efforts will lead to growth. This is how patience turns into progress, and progress turns into lasting success. Chapter 4. Eliminate emotional spending by pausing before every purchase. Spending is rarely just about the item in front of you. Most of the time, it is about how you feel in that moment. A purchase can look small and harmless, yet it can carry a deeper reason behind it. It may come from stress after a long day, boredom during empty hours, or the desire to feel rewarded without delay. This is where emotional spending begins. It does not announce itself clearly. It feels normal, even justified. That is why it is dangerous. It hides inside everyday decisions and slowly weakens financial stability. The problem is not spending itself. Spending is necessary. The problem begins when emotions start controlling decisions without awareness. When this happens, money stops being a tool and becomes a reaction. A person spends not because something is needed, but because something is felt. Relief, comfort, excitement, or distraction becomes the real purpose behind the purchase. The item is only a temporary cover. Once the feeling fades, the cost remains. Eliminating emotional spending does not require extreme restriction. It requires awareness and control. The most powerful tool for this is a simple pause before every purchase. This pause may seem small, but it creates a space where better decisions can be made. Without that pause, actions are automatic. With it, actions become intentional. That difference changes everything. When a person decides to pause, even for a few seconds, they interrupt the emotional flow. They give themselves time to think. In that moment, they can ask a simple question: why am I buying this? The answer matters. If the answer is clear and practical, the purchase may be justified. If the answer is vague or driven by emotion, it reveals something important. It shows that the decision is not about need, but about feeling. This awareness is the first step toward control. Many people spend to escape discomfort. It may be stress from work, frustration from daily challenges, or a sense of emptiness that is difficult to explain. Buying something creates a short moment of relief. It feels like progress, it feels like control. But this relief is temporary. The feeling returns, and the cycle repeats. Over time, this pattern creates financial pressure without solving the original problem. Pausing before a purchase allows a different response. Instead of reacting, a person can choose how to handle the feeling. They may decide to step away, take a walk, or simply sit with the discomfort for a moment. This may not feel easy at first, but it builds strength. It teaches that not every feeling needs to be solved with spending. It creates space for better habits to develop. Another common trigger for emotional spending is the desire for immediate reward. After working hard or dealing with challenges, the mind seeks something that feels good quickly. A purchase becomes a reward. While there is nothing wrong with rewarding yourself, the problem arises when this becomes frequent and unplanned. The reward loses its value and turns into a habit. Pausing helps restore balance. It allows you to decide whether the reward is truly deserved and whether it fits your current situation. Social influence also plays a role in emotional spending. Seeing others buy, own, or display certain things can create a sense of pressure. It may lead to the belief that you need to match their choices. This pressure often leads to unnecessary spending. A pause creates distance from that influence. It gives you time to think independently. You can ask whether the purchase aligns with your life, or if it is simply a reaction to what others are doing. A practical way to strengthen this habit is to create a simple rule. For any non-essential purchase, wait for a specific period before deciding. This could be a few hours, a day, or even longer depending on the cost. During this time, observe your thoughts. Notice if the desire remains strong or if it fades. In many cases, the urge will weaken. What felt urgent at first may no longer feel important. This delay protects your money and trains your mind to be patient. Emotional spending often hides in small amounts. A quick purchase here, a minor expense there. Individually, they may not seem significant, but together they create a pattern. This pattern can lead to larger financial issues over time. Pausing before each purchase helps break this pattern. It brings attention to every decision, no matter how small. It builds a habit of thinking before acting. It is also important to recognize the environments that trigger emotional spending. Certain places, situations, or times of day may increase the likelihood of impulsive decisions. Being aware of these triggers allows you to prepare. You can avoid unnecessary exposure or approach these situations with greater awareness. This reduces the chances of acting on impulse. Technology has made spending easier than ever. With a few taps, a purchase can be completed instantly. This convenience removes the natural delay that once existed. It increases the risk of emotional decisions. Creating your own pause becomes even more important in this environment. It replaces the delay that technology has removed. It ensures that convenience does not lead to carelessness. Another effective approach is to define clear priorities for your money. When you know what matters most, it becomes easier to evaluate each purchase. During the pause, you can ask whether the expense supports your priorities. If it does not, it becomes easier to say no. This clarity reduces confusion and strengthens discipline. Emotional spending is often linked to a lack of awareness about long-term impact. In the moment, the cost feels small. The focus is on immediate satisfaction. Pausing shifts attention to the future. It allows you to consider how the purchase affects your overall financial situation. This perspective encourages more responsible decisions. It is also helpful to separate your identity from your spending. What you buy does not define your worth. Many people fall into the habit of using purchases to shape how they feel about themselves. They believe that owning certain things will improve their confidence or image. This belief leads to unnecessary spending. Pausing creates a moment to reflect on this. It helps you see that value comes from within, not from what you own. Building this habit requires consistency. At first, it may feel unnatural to pause before every purchase. The mind may resist. It may try to justify quick decisions. This is part of the process. Each time you pause, you strengthen your ability to control your actions. Over time, it becomes easier. The pause becomes automatic. It becomes part of how you think. There will be moments when you still make emotional purchases. This is normal. The goal is not perfection. The goal is improvement. When this happens, reflect on the situation. Understand what triggered the decision. Use it as a lesson. This reflection helps you respond differently in the future. Another important step is to create alternatives to spending. When you feel the urge to buy something for emotional reasons, have other actions ready. This could be a physical activity, a creative task, or a simple break. These alternatives provide a healthier way to respond to emotions. They reduce the need to rely on spending for relief. Pausing also improves your relationship with money. It changes how you view spending. Instead of seeing money as something to use quickly, you begin to see it as something to manage carefully. This shift creates a sense of respect. You become more intentional with your decisions. This leads to better outcomes over time. There is a sense of control that comes from this practice. When you are no longer reacting to every urge, you feel more stable. Decisions become deliberate. You are no longer pulled in different directions by temporary feelings. This stability extends beyond money. It affects how you handle other areas of your life. Eliminating emotional spending does not mean removing all enjoyment. It means choosing enjoyment with awareness. When you decide to spend after a thoughtful pause, the experience becomes more meaningful. You know that the decision was made with clarity. This increases satisfaction and reduces regret. The habit of pausing also strengthens discipline in other areas. It teaches you to slow down, think clearly, and act with intention. These skills are valuable in many aspects of life. They improve decision-making and reduce unnecessary stress. Each purchase is an opportunity to practice this habit. Each pause is a step toward greater control. Over time, these small actions create a significant change. They reduce waste, increase savings, and build a stronger financial foundation. The ability to pause before spending is a form of self-control. It reflects a deeper understanding of your behavior. It shows that you are not driven by impulse, but guided by intention. This is a powerful position to be in. In the end, emotional spending loses its hold when awareness and discipline take its place. By creating a simple pause, you give yourself the chance to choose wisely. You protect your resources. You strengthen your mindset. You build a life that is stable and intentional. Every time you pause, you are taking control of your future. Every thoughtful decision moves you closer to financial clarity. Stay consistent with this practice. Over time, it will become a natural part of your behavior. This is how control is built, and this is how lasting change begins. Chapter 5. Create clear goals that guide your money decisions daily. A life without clear financial goals is easily pulled in many directions. Money leaves faster when there is no direction. It gets spent on what is urgent, what is attractive, what is loud, and what is easy. In that kind of life, every day becomes a new negotiation with pressure. One moment it is a bill, the next moment it is a social event. Then it is an unexpected cost. Then it is a purchase that seemed harmless. Without a clear purpose, the mind keeps reacting. That reaction creates confusion, and confusion drains both money and confidence. Clear goals bring order. They give money a job. They turn random choices into guided choices. They help a person know what matters now and what must wait. This is one of the most important habits in financial life, because daily decisions are rarely large on their own. Most of them look small. A meal bought outside. A subscription kept too long. A trip accepted without planning. A purchase made because of boredom. A little extra here, a little unnecessary there. By themselves, these choices appear harmless. Together, they shape the entire direction of a person's life. Goals help prevent that drift. A clear goal does more than inspire. It directs behavior. When you know exactly what you are working toward, you begin to see money differently. It is no longer only for spending. It becomes a tool for building something important. That change in perspective matters because people treat money with more care when it is connected to a purpose. A person saving for a future home thinks differently about daily expenses than a person saving without direction. A person trying to clear debt sees waste differently than someone who has no clear target. Purpose sharpens judgment. The mind works better when it has something concrete to move toward. Vague wishes are too weak to guide daily life. Saying that you want more money is not enough. Saying that you want to save a specific amount by a certain date, reduce debt by a certain number, or build an emergency fund gives the mind something real to work on. A goal should be clear enough that progress can be measured. When progress can be measured, discipline becomes easier to maintain. You can see whether your actions are helping or hurting. Daily money decisions improve when they are measured against your goals. Before spending, ask whether the choice supports the direction you want your life to move in. This is a powerful habit because it creates a pause between impulse and action. Many poor decisions happen because there is no pause. The purchase feels normal in the moment, but later it feels costly. A clear goal introduces a standard. It asks whether the expense is useful, necessary, and aligned with the future you are trying to build. If it is not, the answer becomes easier to give. This kind of thinking also protects against emotional drift. People do not usually lose money only because they do not know better. They lose money because they forget what matters when they are tired, stressed, excited, or distracted. Goals bring that memory back. They remind you that not every desire deserves attention, not every opportunity deserves money, not every invitation deserves a yes. When a goal is strong enough, it becomes easier to say no to things that weaken your progress. A practical goal is one that fits your real life. It should challenge you without forcing you into unrealistic pressure. If a goal is too vague, it will not guide behavior. If it is too extreme, it may lead to frustration. The best goals are honest. They reflect your current situation and your next step. For example, a person may decide to track all spending for 1 month, save a fixed amount each week, reduce one unnecessary cost, or pay down a specific debt. These goals are simple, but they are effective because they are real. Clarity also helps remove shame. Many people avoid looking closely at their finances because the numbers feel unpleasant. They know there is a problem, but they do not want to face it. This avoidance keeps them stuck. A clear goal gives them a way forward. It turns discomfort into direction. Instead of feeling lost inside the problem, they can begin moving toward a solution. That movement creates hope. Hope grows when action becomes possible. The habit of setting goals should not be limited to long-term dreams. Daily goals matter too. A long-term goal gives direction, but daily goals give movement. The two work together. A long-term goal might be to build savings or become debt-free. A daily goal might be to avoid unnecessary purchases today, record all spending tonight, or set aside a small amount before the day ends. These small actions matter because they are the steps that carry the larger goal forward. Without daily follow-through, even the best plan remains only an idea. When money is connected to goals, discipline becomes easier because the reason behind the sacrifice becomes clear. It is easier to skip waste when you know what that choice protects. It is easier to save when you know what the savings will support. It is easier to delay a purchase when you understand that patience serves a larger purpose. People do not stay consistent because life is always easy. They stay consistent because the reason is strong enough to hold them through the difficult moments. There is a deep psychological benefit to this approach. A person with clear money goals feels less scattered. They spend less time wondering whether they are doing the right thing. They begin to trust themselves more because their choices start to align with intention. This creates inner strength. That strength is important because money challenges do not only affect the wallet, they affect the mind. They can make a person feel uncertain, restless, or defeated. Goals reduce that inner noise by giving the mind a clear path. It helps to write goals down and keep them visible. A thought in the mind can fade, but a written goal stays in front of you. It becomes a daily reminder of what you said matters. Writing also makes the goal more serious. It turns an idea into a commitment. You are no longer just thinking about change. You are naming it. That act matters. It creates accountability. It makes it harder to hide from your own intentions. Reviewing goals regularly is just as important as setting them. A goal should not be written once and forgotten. Life changes. Income changes. Needs change. Priorities change. A responsible person checks the direction often and adjusts when necessary. This keeps the goal useful instead of stale. It also helps maintain momentum. When you see progress, even small progress, it reinforces the habit. When you notice that something is not working, you can correct it. Too much time passes. Clear goals also improve spending quality. Without goals, money is often spent to relieve boredom or fill emotional gaps. With goals, spending becomes more thoughtful. You begin to ask whether a choice fits the life you are building. This question changes behavior in a powerful way. It moves the mind away from instant satisfaction and toward long-term benefit. That shift is one of the foundations of financial maturity. People often think goals are only about achievement, but they are also about restraint. A clear goal tells you what not to do. It helps you protect your time, your energy, and your money from waste. It teaches you that discipline is not only about effort, it is also about boundaries. Knowing what to avoid is part of progress. The person who can protect their focus will usually make better money decisions than the person who is constantly distracted. A goal becomes strongest when it connects to your values. Money alone is not enough to inspire lasting discipline. A person may say they want to save, but the desire may not last unless it is connected to something deeper. Security, peace, independence, family, freedom, simplicity, growth. These values give the goal emotional weight. They remind you why the work matters. When the reason is clear, it becomes easier to stay committed on hard days. Daily financial decisions become easier when they are viewed through the lens of your goals. A person who knows what they are building can better resist pressure. They are less likely to spend just because others are spending. They are less likely to borrow just because a purchase feels urgent. They are less likely to drift because they know where they are going. This kind of direction is powerful because it reduces waste and increases purpose at the same time. It is also worth remembering that goals do not need to be dramatic to be meaningful. A small goal done consistently can change a life. Saving a little each day, reducing one category of waste, or making one thoughtful decision repeatedly can create real progress. The mind often wants something bigger to feel important. but steady action is what truly builds stability. A clear goal gives that steady action a destination. When you begin each day with your goals in mind, your money decisions gain strength. You do not have to rely on mood. You do not need to wait for inspiration. You already know what matters. This makes your day more focused and your life more controlled. The goal becomes a guide, and the guide keeps you from drifting into choices that weaken your future. A clear goal is not just a plan. It is a promise to yourself about how you will live. It says that your money will not be wasted blindly. It says that your decisions will have direction. It says that your future is worth protecting. That promise, repeated daily, becomes a source of power. The more clearly you define your goals, the easier it becomes to live with intention. The more you return to them, the stronger your discipline becomes. The more your daily choices match your goals, the more stable your financial life will grow. This is how clarity turns into progress. This is how purpose turns into discipline. This is how money begins to serve a life that is built with care. Chapter 6. Save consistently to build security and reduce stress. There is a quiet form of pressure that follows people who live without savings. It does not always show itself loudly, but it stays in the background of daily life. It appears in moments when an unexpected expense arrives. It appears when income feels uncertain. It appears when a simple decision begins to feel heavy because there is no margin for error. This pressure is not only financial, it affects the mind. It creates tension, hesitation, and a constant sense that something could go wrong at any moment. Saving consistently is the habit that removes this pressure over time and replaces it with stability. Saving is not only about building wealth. It is about building protection. Life does not move in a straight line. Costs appear without warning. Situations change without notice. Plans fail. Health shifts. Opportunities require readiness. A person without savings is forced to react quickly, often in ways that create more problems. A person with savings has space to think, space to respond, and space to recover. That space is valuable because it turns chaos into manageable challenges. Many people delay saving because they believe they need a higher income before they can begin. This belief keeps them stuck. The habit of saving is not created by the size of income. It is created by behavior. A person who learns to save a small amount regularly develops a pattern. That pattern remains when income grows. A person who waits for more money without building the habit often finds that higher income only leads to higher spending. The opportunity to save is always present, even if the amount is small. Consistency is the key. Saving a large amount once does not create security if it is not repeated. Saving a small amount regularly creates a foundation that becomes stronger over time. The act itself matters more than the amount in the beginning. It builds discipline. It trains the mind to prioritize the future. It creates a routine that becomes part of daily life. Over time, the amount can increase, but the habit must come first. One of the most effective ways to build this habit is to treat saving as a priority rather than an afterthought. Many people spend first and save what remains, which often leads to nothing being saved. When saving is placed first, it becomes part of the structure of your finances. A portion of income is set aside before other decisions are made. This approach creates consistency because it removes the uncertainty of waiting to see what is left. Saving also changes how a person views money. It introduces a sense of respect. Instead of seeing money only as something to use, it becomes something to protect and grow. This shift in mindset affects daily decisions. A person becomes more aware of unnecessary expenses. They begin to question whether a purchase is worth reducing their savings. This awareness strengthens discipline and reduces waste. The emotional impact of saving is often underestimated. When a person knows they have a reserve, even a small one, it creates a sense of calm. Decisions feel less urgent. Problems feel less overwhelming. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are prepared, even if only partially. This confidence is important because it allows you to think clearly under pressure. Clear thinking leads to better decisions. And better decisions lead to better outcomes. There is also a strong connection between saving and self-control. Each time you choose to save instead of spend, you are reinforcing discipline. You are choosing long-term stability over short-term satisfaction. This choice may not always feel rewarding in the moment, but it builds strength over time. The more often you make this choice, the easier it becomes. Discipline grows through repetition. Saving consistently requires awareness of your spending habits. Without awareness, money slips away before it can be set aside. Understanding where your money goes allows you to identify areas where adjustments can be made. These adjustments do not need to be extreme. Small changes can create enough room to begin saving. Reducing one unnecessary expense, delaying one purchase, or making a slight adjustment in daily habits can create space for savings. It is important to start with a realistic amount. Setting a target that is too high can lead to frustration and inconsistency. A smaller, manageable amount allows you to build the habit without pressure. Once the habit is established, the amount can be increased gradually. This approach ensures that saving becomes sustainable rather than temporary. Automating savings can also be helpful. When a portion of income is transferred automatically to a savings account, it removes the need to make the decision each time. This reduces the chance of spending the money elsewhere. It creates a system that supports your goal without relying entirely on willpower. Systems are important because they provide structure and consistency. Saving is not about denying yourself completely. It is about balance. There should be room for enjoyment, but that enjoyment should not come at the cost of stability. A person who saves consistently can still enjoy life, but they do so with awareness. They understand the impact of their choices. They make decisions that align with their priorities. Another important aspect of saving is having a clear purpose. Saving without a reason can feel empty. When you know what you are saving for, the habit becomes more meaningful. It could be security, independence, a future plan, or simply peace of mind. This purpose provides motivation. It reminds you why the effort matters, especially on days when saving feels difficult. There will be times when saving feels challenging. Expenses may increase, income may fluctuate, unexpected situations may arise. During these times, it is important to maintain the habit, even if the amount is reduced. Consistency is more important than the size of the contribution. Maintaining the habit keeps the structure intact. Once the situation improves, the amount can be adjusted again. Saving also prepares you for opportunities. When you have a reserve, you are able to act when a valuable opportunity appears. Whether it is an investment, a business idea, or a personal goal, having savings allows you to move forward without hesitation. Without savings, opportunities may be missed or delayed. This is another reason why saving is not only about protection, but also about growth. It is also important to separate savings from daily spending. Keeping savings in a separate account reduces the temptation to use it for unnecessary expenses. It creates a boundary that protects your progress. This separation reinforces the idea that savings are not for everyday use. They are for specific purposes and future needs. Reviewing your savings regularly can help maintain focus. Seeing progress, even if it is gradual, reinforces the habit. It shows that your efforts are working. This creates a sense of achievement that encourages you to continue. At the same time, reviewing allows you to adjust your approach if needed. It keeps you aligned with your goals. Saving consistently also reduces reliance on debt. When unexpected expenses occur, having savings allows you to handle them without borrowing. This prevents additional financial pressure and interest costs. It keeps your financial life simpler and more controlled. Avoiding unnecessary debt is a significant step toward long-term stability. There is a sense of independence that comes with saving. You are less dependent on external support. You are less vulnerable to sudden changes. This independence creates confidence. It allows you to make decisions based on what is best for your life, rather than what is immediately necessary. This freedom is one of the greatest benefits of saving. The process of saving teaches patience. It shows that progress takes time. It requires you to stay committed even when results are slow. This patience is valuable because it strengthens your mindset. It helps you remain steady in other areas of life as well. The discipline developed through saving extends beyond money. It is important to remember that setbacks are part of the process. There may be times when you need to use your savings. This does not mean failure. It means the system is working. The purpose of savings is to provide support during difficult times. After using it, the focus should be on rebuilding. The habit remains the same. Saving consistently is not about perfection. It is about commitment. It is about making a decision to prioritize stability and following through with that decision every day. It is about understanding that small actions repeated over time create significant results. Each time you choose to save, you are strengthening your future. You are reducing uncertainty. You are building a foundation that supports both your financial and emotional well-being. This foundation grows stronger with each consistent action. In the end, saving is a form of self-care. It is a way of protecting your future from unnecessary stress. It is a way of creating peace in a world that can often feel uncertain. It is a habit that rewards patience, discipline, and awareness. Stay consistent with this practice. Start with what you can. Increase when possible. Protect what you build. Over time, this simple habit will create a level of security that changes how you experience life. It will reduce pressure, increase confidence, and give you the stability needed to move forward with clarity. Chapter 7. Invest wisely by learning before risking your money. Money that is earned carries effort behind it. Time was exchanged for it. Energy was spent to obtain it. That is why risking money without understanding where it is going is one of the most careless decisions a person can make. Many people are drawn to investing because they want growth. They want their money to multiply. They want to move faster toward financial freedom. This desire is natural, but it becomes dangerous when it is not guided by knowledge. Investing without learning first is not strategy. It is exposure to unnecessary loss. Wise investing begins with understanding, not action. The urge to act quickly often comes from excitement or fear of missing out. When people hear about others making gains, they feel pressure to do the same. They rush into decisions without fully knowing what they are doing. This creates a fragile position. A person who does not understand an investment cannot manage it properly. They cannot evaluate risk. They cannot respond calmly when the value changes. They become dependent on luck instead of skill. Learning before investing is a form of protection. It builds a foundation that allows you to make decisions with clarity. It helps you understand how different types of investments work, what risks are involved, and what outcomes are realistic. Without this knowledge, even a good opportunity can be handled poorly. With knowledge, even a challenging situation can be managed with discipline. The first step in learning is to accept that investing is not simple. It may look simple from the outside, but it involves many factors. Markets move based on conditions that are not always predictable. Prices change, trends shift, opportunities appear and disappear. A person who approaches investing with a casual mindset is likely to make mistakes. A serious approach requires time, attention, and patience. One of the most important lessons in investing is understanding risk. Every investment carries some level of uncertainty. There is no guaranteed return. The goal is not to eliminate risk completely, but to understand it and manage it. A person who invests without understanding risk may take positions that are too large or too unstable. This can lead to losses that could have been avoided with proper knowledge. Learning about investing should begin with basic principles. Understanding how money grows over time, how different assets behave, and how diversification reduces risk are essential concepts. These ideas form the foundation of smart decision-making. Without them, it is difficult to build a stable strategy. Many mistakes happen because people skip the basics and jump directly into action. It is also important to understand your own financial position before investing. Investing should not be done with money that is needed for immediate expenses. It should not be done with money that cannot be lost without creating serious problems. A stable financial base should come first. Savings for emergencies should be in place. Daily needs should be covered. Only then should investing be considered. This approach reduces pressure and allows you to make decisions calmly. A disciplined investor does not chase quick gains. They focus on long-term growth. They understand that building wealth through investing takes time. Short-term movements can be unpredictable. Prices can rise and fall without clear reasons. Reacting to every change leads to poor decisions. Patience allows investments to grow according to their potential. It prevents unnecessary actions that can harm progress. Learning also involves understanding different investment options. Some are more stable but offer slower growth. Others are more volatile but may offer higher returns. Each option has its place depending on your goals and tolerance for risk. A person who knows these differences can choose wisely. A person who does not may take on more risk than they can handle or avoid opportunities that could have been beneficial. Another important aspect of learning is recognizing the role of emotions. Investing can trigger strong feelings. When prices rise, excitement can lead to overconfidence. When prices fall, fear can lead to panic. Both reactions can cause mistakes. A knowledgeable investor understands these emotional patterns and prepares for them. They make decisions based on logic rather than reaction. This control is built through understanding and experience. It is also valuable to learn from others, but with caution. Not every piece of advice is reliable. Some people share opinions without full understanding. Others promote ideas based on personal gain. It is important to evaluate information carefully. Do not accept advice blindly. Take time to verify it. Understand the reasoning behind it. This approach protects you from being influenced by poor guidance. A practical way to begin investing is to start small. This reduces risk while you are still learning. Small investments allow you to gain experience without exposing yourself to large losses. As your knowledge and confidence grow, you can increase your involvement. This gradual approach builds skill and reduces the chance of costly mistakes. Keeping records of your investments can also improve learning. Track what you invest in, why you made the decision, and what the outcome was. Reviewing this information helps you understand what works and what does not. It turns experience into knowledge. Over time, this practice sharpens your judgment and improves your strategy. Another important principle is diversification. Relying on a single investment increases risk. Spreading your money across different types of investments reduces the impact of any one loss. This creates a more balanced approach. It does not eliminate risk, but it makes your financial position more stable. Understanding how to diversify effectively is a key part of wise investing. Patience plays a major role in successful investing. Growth does not happen instantly. It takes time for investments to develop. Impatience can lead to unnecessary changes. Constant buying and selling increases costs and reduces potential gains. A patient approach allows your investments to work over time. It aligns with the principle of steady progress. It is also important to have a clear purpose for investing. Are you aiming for long-term growth, income, or a specific financial goal? Knowing your purpose helps guide your decisions. It determines the type of investments you choose and the level of risk you are willing to accept. Without a clear purpose, investing becomes directionless. Learning before investing also builds confidence. When you understand what you are doing, you feel more in control. You are less likely to panic during difficult periods. You can evaluate situations calmly and make informed decisions. This confidence is important because it helps you stay consistent with your strategy. Mistakes are part of the learning process. Even experienced investors make errors. The difference is how those errors are handled. A wise investor reflects on mistakes, learns from them, and adjusts their approach. They do not repeat the same errors without change. This mindset turns setbacks into opportunities for growth. It is important to remain realistic about expectations. Investing can grow your money, but it does not guarantee instant results. Expecting rapid gains can lead to disappointment and poor decisions. A steady approach with reasonable expectations is more sustainable. It allows you to stay committed over the long term. Discipline is essential in investing. It involves sticking to your plan, even when emotions suggest otherwise. It means avoiding impulsive decisions. It means maintaining consistency in your approach. Discipline is built through practice. It strengthens your ability to handle challenges and stay focused on your goals. Another key element is continuous learning. Markets change. New opportunities emerge. Conditions evolve. Staying informed helps you adapt. It keeps your knowledge relevant. It improves your ability to make decisions. Learning should not stop once you begin investing. It should continue as part of your routine. Investing wisely is not about taking large risks for quick rewards. It is about making thoughtful decisions based on knowledge and understanding. It is about protecting your money while allowing it to grow. It is about balancing risk and reward in a way that aligns with your goals. Each step you take to learn strengthens your ability to invest effectively. Each decision made with understanding reduces the chance of loss. Each experience adds to your knowledge. Over time, these elements come together to create a strong investment approach. The habit of learning before risking your money is a sign of respect for your resources. It shows that you value what you have earned. It shows that you are willing to take the time to protect and grow it properly. This mindset leads to better outcomes and greater stability. In the end, wise investing is built on patience, knowledge, and discipline. It is not driven by urgency or excitement. It is guided by understanding and careful planning. By committing to learning first, you create a strong foundation for growth. This foundation allows you to move forward with confidence and clarity, building a financial future that is stable and secure. Chapter 8. Control lifestyle inflation. By living below your means, income can rise without life improving. This happens more often than people expect. A person works harder, earns more, and believes relief will follow. For a short time, it feels true. There is more freedom, more comfort, and more choice. Then something subtle begins to change. Expenses increase to match the new income. Better clothes, more frequent outings, upgraded devices, higher rent, new subscriptions, and small upgrades that slowly become normal. What once felt like a reward becomes a requirement. This is how lifestyle inflation quietly takes control. Lifestyle inflation does not arrive as a problem. It arrives as comfort. It feels earned. It feels justified. That is why it spreads easily. A person tells themselves they deserve better after working harder. That thought is not wrong, but without boundaries, it leads to a cycle where income grows and expenses grow with it. The result is a life that looks improved on the surface but remains fragile underneath. There is still pressure, still stress, and still a lack of true stability. Living below your means is the discipline that breaks this cycle. It is not about denying yourself everything. It is about creating space between what you earn and what you spend. That space is where growth happens. It is where savings build, investments begin, and security develops. Without that space, money passes through your life without leaving anything behind. The challenge is not understanding this idea. The challenge is practicing it consistently when income increases. When more money becomes available, the mind quickly adjusts expectations. What once felt like a luxury becomes normal. This adjustment happens quietly. A person may not notice it at first. They simply start spending more because they can. Over time, the new level of spending becomes fixed. Reducing it later becomes difficult because it now feels like a loss. Controlling lifestyle inflation begins with awareness. You must notice how your spending changes when your income changes. When a raise, bonus, or new opportunity increases your earnings, pause before adjusting your lifestyle. Ask yourself what truly needs to change and what can remain the same. Not every increase in income requires an increase in spending. This pause protects your progress. A strong approach is to decide in advance how you will handle additional income. Instead of allowing it to disappear into higher expenses, assign it a purpose. A portion can go towards savings. A portion can be used to reduce debt. A portion can be invested for future growth. This approach ensures that your financial position improves as your income grows. It prevents your lifestyle from expanding without control. Living below your means also requires redefining what success looks like. Many people measure success by visible signs, such as expensive items, frequent spending, and constant upgrades. This view creates pressure to spend more as income increases. A different perspective focuses on stability, freedom, and control. A person who values these qualities does not feel the need to match every external standard. They choose a path that supports long-term well-being. There is strength in maintaining a simple lifestyle even when you can afford more. Simplicity reduces pressure. It lowers the cost of living. It creates flexibility. A person who lives below their means can handle unexpected changes more easily. They are not tied to high expenses that require constant income. This flexibility is a form of freedom that cannot be seen but can be felt in daily life. It is also important to understand that spending more does not always increase satisfaction. The first upgrade may feel exciting, but repeated upgrades lose their impact. The mind adjusts quickly. What once brought enjoyment becomes ordinary. This cycle encourages continuous spending without lasting satisfaction. Living below your means breaks this pattern. It allows you to appreciate what you have without constantly seeking more. A practical way to maintain control is to keep certain aspects of your lifestyle stable, even as your income grows. For example, continue living in a reasonable space instead of upgrading immediately. Maintain similar daily habits instead of expanding them. Avoid adding new recurring expenses unless they provide clear value. These decisions create consistency. They prevent sudden increases in spending that are difficult to reverse. Another useful approach is to focus on long-term benefits instead of short-term comfort. Each decision to spend more should be evaluated based on its impact over time. Will this expense create lasting value or temporary satisfaction? Will it improve your life in a meaningful way or simply increase your monthly obligations? This type of thinking strengthens discipline and reduces unnecessary growth in expenses. Living below your means also requires the ability to resist comparison. When others upgrade their lifestyle, it can create a sense of pressure. It may feel like you are falling behind if you do not do the same. This comparison is often misleading. You do not see the full picture of someone else's financial situation. They may be carrying stress or debt that is not visible. Focusing on your own path protects you from making decisions based on incomplete information. It is helpful to remember that every increase in fixed expenses reduces your flexibility. Fixed expenses such as rent, subscriptions, and long-term commitments are difficult to adjust quickly. When these costs rise, your ability to respond to changes decreases. Keeping fixed expenses manageable is a key part of living below your means. It ensures that you maintain control over your financial life. There is also a psychological benefit to maintaining lower expenses. It reduces the pressure to earn at a high level constantly. A person with high expenses must maintain a certain income to support their lifestyle. This creates stress and limits options. A person with lower expenses has more freedom. They can adapt more easily. They can take opportunities without being restricted by high financial obligations. Living below your means does not mean avoiding all improvements. It means choosing improvements carefully. When you decide to upgrade something, ensure that it adds real value to your life. Avoid upgrades that are driven by impulse or external pressure. Thoughtful improvements can enhance your life without creating unnecessary strain. Another important aspect is building a habit of saving and investing the difference between your income and expenses. This habit ensures that your financial position strengthens over time. It creates a buffer that protects you from uncertainty. It also allows you to benefit from opportunities that require financial readiness. Discipline plays a central role in this process. It is easy to maintain lower spending when income is limited. It becomes more challenging when income increases. The ability to control your choices in this situation reflects true discipline. It shows that you are guided by intention rather than impulse. There will be moments when increasing your lifestyle feels tempting. A new opportunity, a higher income, or a desire for comfort can create pressure to spend more. In these moments, return to your principles. Remember the value of stability. Remember the importance of control. Make decisions that support your long-term well-being. Living below your means also builds confidence. You know that you are not dependent on every unit of income. You have room to manage challenges. You have the ability to make decisions without immediate pressure. This confidence improves your overall quality of life. It is important to review your expenses regularly. As your life changes, your spending patterns may shift. Regular review helps you identify areas where costs have increased unnecessarily. It allows you to make adjustments before the situation becomes difficult to manage. There is a quiet satisfaction in knowing that you are in control of your finances. It does not require external recognition. It comes from the understanding that your life is stable and your future is protected. This satisfaction is more valuable than temporary displays of wealth. Controlling lifestyle inflation is not about limiting your life. It is about strengthening it. It is about ensuring that your progress is real and sustainable. It is about creating a financial structure that supports your goals and reduces stress. Each decision to live below your means adds to your stability. Each choice to avoid unnecessary expansion protects your future. Over time, these decisions create a strong foundation that allows you to move forward with confidence. The habit of controlling lifestyle inflation requires awareness, discipline, and clarity. It is a continuous process. It requires attention as your circumstances change. By maintaining this discipline, you ensure that your income works for you rather than controlling you. In the end, living below your means is a commitment to long-term strength. It is a decision to prioritize stability over appearance. It is a choice to build a life that is secure, flexible, and intentional. This approach creates lasting value and reduces the pressure that comes from uncontrolled spending. Chapter 9. Strengthen mindset to handle losses without quitting. Loss is one of the most difficult parts of any financial journey. It does not feel theoretical, it feels personal. When money is lost, even in small amounts, the mind reacts strongly. There is disappointment, frustration, and sometimes even self-doubt. Many people do not struggle because they lose money. They struggle because of how they respond to losing it. Some people stop completely after a setback. They step away from progress, convinced that continuing is no longer worth the effort. This reaction is where long-term growth is often interrupted. A strong mindset does not avoid loss. It learns how to remain steady when loss happens. Financial growth is not a straight path. It includes mistakes, wrong decisions, unexpected changes, and results that do not meet expectations. These moments are not signs of failure in character. They are part of the learning process. The difference between progress and stagnation is not whether losses happen. It is whether a person continues after them. The first step in building this mindset is accepting that loss is normal. No one manages money perfectly. Every person who has built financial stability has faced setbacks along the way. Some investments do not perform as expected. Some decisions turn out differently than planned. Some opportunities do not bring the outcome that was hoped for. These experiences are part of the process, not the end of it. When loss is viewed as a normal part of learning, it loses some of its emotional weight. What makes loss dangerous is not the financial impact alone. It is the emotional response that follows. After a loss, the mind can become discouraged. It may begin to question ability, judgment, or future potential. This internal doubt can lead to avoidance. A person may stop making decisions, stop trying new things, or stop engaging with financial growth altogether. This pause can become permanent if not addressed. Strengthening the mindset means learning to recognize this emotional reaction without allowing it to control behavior. One important shift is separating identity from outcome. A financial loss does not define who you are. It reflects a decision, a situation, or a moment in time. It does not determine your worth or your ability to improve. When a person connects their identity too closely to financial results, every setback feels like a personal failure. This creates fear of trying again. But when identity is separate from outcomes, it becomes easier to learn and move forward. Another key element is perspective. A single loss can feel large in the moment, but when viewed within the larger timeline of a financial journey, it becomes one event among many. Over time, some decisions will work and others will not. The goal is not to avoid all losses. The goal is to ensure that gains over time outweigh them. This perspective helps reduce emotional intensity and encourages long-term thinking. Strengthening the mindset also requires understanding that learning often comes through discomfort. Mistakes reveal gaps in knowledge. Losses highlight areas that need improvement. Without these experiences, growth remains limited. While discomfort is not enjoyable, it serves a purpose. It shows what needs attention. A person who learns to observe losses instead of reacting emotionally to them gains valuable insight that improves future decisions. One practical approach is to review losses calmly rather than immediately reacting to them. Instead of focusing on frustration, take time to understand what happened. What was the decision process? What information was available at the time? What assumptions were made? This type of reflection turns a negative experience into useful knowledge. It prevents the same mistake from repeating and strengthens future decision-making. Another important aspect is maintaining consistency after setbacks. Many people lose momentum because they associate one failure with future failure. This belief is misleading. One outcome does not define the next. Continuing action after a setback is one of the strong signs of resilience. It shows that progress is not dependent on perfect results, but on continued effort. The ability to continue despite discomfort is what builds long-term success. Emotional control plays a central role in this process. Loss often triggers strong feelings that can influence decisions. Fear can lead to hesitation. Frustration can lead to impulsive choices. Doubt can lead to withdrawal. Learning to pause during these emotional moments is essential. A short period of reflection before making new decisions helps prevent reaction-based mistakes. It creates space for clarity. It is also important to reduce the pressure of perfection. Expecting every financial decision to succeed creates unrealistic standards. When perfection becomes the goal, any loss feels unacceptable. This mindset increases stress and reduces willingness to take necessary actions. A healthier approach is to focus on progress over perfection. Improvement over time is more valuable than flawless performance in the short term. Support systems can also help strengthen resilience. Talking to experienced individuals or learning from others who have faced similar challenges can provide perspective. It helps normalize loss and reduces isolation. Understanding that setbacks are common across many journeys makes it easier to stay grounded and continue forward. Another useful practice is to set realistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations often magnify the emotional impact of loss. When expectations are aligned with reality, setbacks are easier to handle. Understanding that growth takes time and that outcomes vary helps maintain stability during difficult periods. It reduces disappointment and supports steady progress. It is also important to focus on what remains after a loss rather than only what was lost. Even in difficult situations, there is always something that remains intact. Experience, knowledge, and awareness all increase through challenges. These gains are often overlooked because attention is focused on the negative outcome. Shifting attention helps restore balance and reinforces learning. Resilience is built through repetition. Each time a person continues after a setback, their ability to handle future challenges improves. The emotional response becomes less intense. The recovery becomes faster. The mindset becomes stronger. This process does not happen instantly. It develops gradually through experience and reflection. Another important point is avoiding extreme reactions. After a loss, some people try to recover quickly by taking large risks. Others withdraw completely and stop taking any action. Both responses are driven by emotion rather than balance. A stable mindset avoids extremes. It continues with measured actions, guided by learning rather than reaction. Over time, a person with a strong mindset begins to view losses differently. Instead of seeing them as setbacks, they see them as feedback. This shift changes behavior. It reduces fear. It increases adaptability. It encourages steady participation in financial growth without hesitation. Discipline is the foundation that supports this mindset. Discipline ensures that actions continue even when emotions fluctuate. It provides structure during uncertainty. It prevents temporary feelings from disrupting long-term goals. With discipline in place, setbacks become manageable rather than overwhelming. It is also important to recognize that recovery from loss takes time. Emotional recovery does not always match financial recovery. The mind needs time to process what happened. During this period, patience is essential. Forcing immediate confidence can create additional stress. Allowing space for reflection leads to healthier adjustment. A strong mindset does not ignore losses. It acknowledges them, learns from them, and continues forward without being defined by them. This balance between awareness and resilience is what allows long-term progress. It creates stability in the face of uncertainty. Each loss carries a lesson. Each lesson strengthens future decisions. Each decision builds experience. Over time, these experiences shape a more capable and steady approach to money. The goal is not to avoid every mistake, but to grow stronger through them. In the end, financial strength is not measured only by success. It is also measured by the ability to continue after failure. A person who can face setbacks without quitting develops a level of resilience that supports long-term stability. This resilience becomes one of the most valuable assets in financial life. The journey forward is shaped by how you respond when things do not go as planned. Staying steady, learning from experience, and continuing with discipline builds a mindset that can handle challenges without losing direction. This is what creates lasting strength and consistent progress over time. Chapter 10. Focus on long-term growth instead of quick profits. Most financial struggles do not come from lack of opportunity. They come from impatience. The desire for quick profit is one of the strongest forces that influences financial behavior. It creates excitement, urgency, and the belief that success should happen faster than it actually does. This mindset often leads people to chase short-term gains without considering long-term consequences. In the beginning, it feels like progress, but over time, it often leads to instability, repeated mistakes, and frustration. Focusing on long-term growth requires a different way of thinking. It requires slowing down the mind and choosing direction over speed. It is not about avoiding progress. It is about building progress that lasts. Quick profits can feel rewarding, but they rarely create stability. Long-term growth, on the other hand, may feel slow in the beginning, but it builds strength that does not collapse easily. The desire for fast results often comes from pressure. People want to improve their situation quickly. They want relief from financial stress. They want to see immediate change in their lives. This emotional pressure makes short-term opportunities appear more attractive than they really are. The mind focuses on possible gain and ignores potential risk. This imbalance leads to decisions that are not fully considered. Long-term thinking changes this pattern. Instead of focusing on what can be gained quickly, attention shifts to what can be built steadily. This shift is subtle but powerful. It encourages patience. It reduces impulsive decisions. It creates a sense of direction that is not easily shaken by temporary changes. When the focus is long-term, Decisions become more stable because they are guided by purpose rather than urgency. One of the key aspects of long-term growth is understanding compounding. Growth builds on itself over time. Small, consistent actions accumulate and create larger results. This applies not only to money, but also to knowledge, skills, and habits. A person who invests time in learning gradually improves their ability to make better decisions. A person who saves consistently builds financial strength. A person who avoids unnecessary risk protects their resources. These actions may seem small individually, but over time they create meaningful change. Quick profit thinking interrupts this process. It encourages constant switching, chasing, and reacting. Instead of allowing growth to develop naturally, it forces attention to shift from one opportunity to another. This prevents consistency. Without consistency, compounding does not take effect. The result is a cycle of short gains followed by losses or stagnation. Long-term focus requires patience with time. It requires accepting that meaningful results take longer than expected. This can be difficult in a world where immediate outcomes are often highlighted. However, real stability is rarely immediate. It is built through repetition, discipline, and sustained effort. The ability to stay committed even when results are not visible is a defining factor in financial success. Another important element is clarity of purpose. When a person knows what they are building toward, it becomes easier to ignore distractions. A clear purpose acts as a filter. It helps distinguish between opportunities that support long-term goals and those that only offer short-term excitement. Without this clarity, every opportunity feels important, which leads to scattered decisions. Long-term thinking also changes the way risk is viewed. Instead of taking unnecessary risks for the possibility of fast returns, attention shifts to managing risk carefully. The goal is not to avoid risk completely, but to ensure that risk is taken in a controlled and informed way. This reduces the chance of major setbacks and allows steady progress to continue. Emotional control plays a major role in maintaining long-term focus. Quick profit opportunities often trigger strong emotions such as excitement and fear. These emotions can cloud judgment and lead to impulsive decisions. A long-term mindset creates distance from these emotions. It encourages calm evaluation rather than immediate reaction. This calmness leads to better decision-making and reduces unnecessary mistakes. It is also important to understand that long-term growth does not mean slow inactivity. It involves continuous action, but with intention. Every decision contributes to a larger direction. Learning, saving, investing, and improving skills all work together over time. The difference is that these actions are not driven by urgency. They are guided by structure and consistency. Another key point is avoiding comparison. When people focus on quick profits, they often compare their progress with others who appear to be moving faster. This comparison creates pressure and impatience. It can lead to abandoning long-term strategies in favor of riskier choices. However, external progress rarely shows the full picture. Many visible gains are supported by unseen risks or instability. Focusing on your own path protects you from making decisions based on incomplete information. Long-term growth also requires resisting the urge to constantly change direction. Many people abandon strategies too early because they do not see immediate results. They switch approaches frequently, hoping for faster success. This prevents any strategy from fully developing. Consistency is what allows a plan to work. Without it, effort is repeatedly reset before it can produce meaningful outcomes. A practical approach to maintaining long-term focus is setting clear time horizons for goals. Instead of expecting results in days or weeks, think in terms of months and years. This shift in perspective reduces pressure and creates space for growth. It allows decisions to be made with patience rather than urgency. It is also helpful to evaluate opportunities based on sustainability rather than speed. Ask whether a choice supports long-term stability or only short-term gain. This simple evaluation helps filter decisions and reduces the likelihood of impulsive actions. It strengthens discipline and keeps attention aligned with larger goals. Long-term thinking builds resilience. When outcomes take time, setbacks become easier to handle. A temporary delay does not feel like failure. It becomes part of the process. This mindset reduces frustration and supports steady progress. It allows a person to remain committed, even when results are not immediate. Another benefit of focusing on long-term growth is reduced stress. Constantly chasing quick profits creates pressure to make fast decisions. It also increases emotional volatility because outcomes change rapidly. A long-term approach removes this pressure. It creates a more stable financial environment where decisions are made thoughtfully rather than urgently. Financial maturity is reflected in the ability to delay gratification. Choosing long-term benefits over immediate rewards is a sign of discipline. It shows control over impulses and clarity of purpose. This ability strengthens over time as it is practiced consistently. Each time a person chooses patience over urgency, they reinforce their long-term mindset. It is important to recognize that patience does not mean inaction. It means consistent action without rushing outcomes. Every step taken today contributes to future results. The key is to stay engaged in the process without becoming dependent on immediate rewards. This balance is essential for sustainable progress. Long-term growth also encourages better learning. Instead of rushing into decisions, there is time to understand concepts deeply. This leads to more informed choices. Knowledge becomes stronger, and mistakes become fewer. Over time, this creates a more stable financial foundation. There will always be distractions that promise fast results. These distractions are part of the environment. They are designed to attract attention and encourage quick decisions. A strong mindset recognizes these distractions but does not follow them. It remains focused on long-term direction. Each decision made with long-term thinking builds strength. Each moment of patience adds stability. Each consistent action contributes to future growth. Over time, these small decisions create a meaningful transformation. The habit of focusing on long-term growth is not built overnight. It is developed through repetition and awareness. It requires constant attention to avoid slipping back into short-term thinking. But with practice, it becomes natural. The mind begins to value stability over speed. In the end, long-term growth creates a financial life that is steady, reliable, and sustainable. It reduces unnecessary risk, builds confidence, and strengthens discipline. It allows progress to develop in a way that lasts beyond temporary gains. Choosing long-term thinking is choosing stability over uncertainty. It is choosing structure over impulse. It is choosing patience over pressure. This mindset forms the foundation of lasting financial strength and creates a path that supports continuous and meaningful growth over time. Chapter 11. Increase income by improving valuable and rare skills. Income does not increase only through effort. Many people work hard for years without seeing meaningful financial change because effort alone is not enough. The real difference comes from the type of skills a person develops. Some skills are common and easily replaced. Others are rare, valuable, and difficult to replicate. Income tends to grow when a person builds skills that solve important problems, create real value, or save time and effort for others. Without this understanding, a person can remain busy without moving forward financially. Improving valuable and rare skills begins with awareness. It requires recognizing that not all abilities are equal in the financial world. Some skills are widely available, which means many people can do the same task at a similar level. When supply is high and differentiation is low, income tends to remain limited. On the other hand, when a skill is difficult to find and highly useful, its value increases. People and organizations are willing to pay more for something they cannot easily replace. This is why increasing income is less about working longer hours and more about becoming more capable. Time alone does not create financial growth. Skill does. A person who spends years doing repetitive work without improving their ability may see very little change in income. But a person who continuously improves and develops rare capabilities gradually becomes more valuable in the marketplace. Their work carries more impact, and their compensation reflects that value. The first step is identifying skills that are in demand but not widely mastered. These are often skills that solve real problems. Communication, critical thinking, digital literacy, problem solving, creativity, technical ability, and leadership are examples of areas that can significantly increase earning potential when developed deeply. The goal is not to learn everything at once, but to focus on a few skills and develop them to a high level. Improvement requires consistency. Skills are not built in a short period. They develop through repetition, practice, and application. Many people underestimate the time required to become truly skilled in a specific area. They start learning with enthusiasm, but stop before real progress appears. The early stage of learning often feels slow because visible results are limited. This is where discipline becomes important. Continuing through this stage is what separates average progress from meaningful growth. Practical application is essential. Learning without use does not create value. A skill becomes powerful when it is applied in real situations. This allows understanding to deepen and confidence to grow. Each time a skill is used, it becomes stronger. Mistakes made during application are part of the learning process. They reveal gaps that need attention and provide direction for improvement. Over time, repeated application turns knowledge into ability. Another important aspect is focusing on depth rather than surface-level knowledge. Many people try to learn too many things at once. This creates scattered ability without mastery in any area. Rare skills come from depth. They require sustained attention in one direction. The deeper a person goes in a specific skill, the more valuable they become in that area. Depth creates expertise, and expertise creates opportunity. Feedback plays a key role in skill development. Without feedback, improvement becomes slower. Feedback shows what is working and what needs adjustment. It prevents repeated mistakes and guides progress. This feedback can come from real-world experience, mentors, or performance results. The important part is to remain open to correction rather than defending current ability. Growth depends on the willingness to adjust. Income increases when skills solve problems that others care about. The more important the problem, the higher the value of the solution. This means skill development should not be isolated from real-world needs. It should be connected to areas where demand exists. Understanding what people need, what businesses require, or what industries value helps guide skill selection. This alignment between ability and demand is what creates financial growth. There is also a strong connection between adaptability and income growth. The world changes continuously. New technologies, methods and systems emerge over time. A person who is willing to learn and adapt remains relevant. A person who resists change may find their skills becoming less useful. Adaptability ensures that skills remain valuable even as conditions evolve. Building rare skills often requires stepping outside of comfort. Growth does not happen in familiar environments alone. It requires exposure to new challenges and situations. These challenges force the mind to think differently and develop new solutions. Although discomfort may feel difficult at first, it is often where the most significant improvement happens. Avoiding challenge limits growth. Facing it expands capability. Another important factor is consistency in practice. Skill development is not based on occasional effort. It is built through repeated action over time. Short bursts of effort followed by long breaks do not lead to mastery. Regular practice, even in small amounts, creates steady improvement. Over time, these small improvements accumulate into significant ability. It is also important to observe people who have already mastered the skill you are trying to develop. Studying their approach provides insight into what works at a higher level. This does not mean copying them directly, but understanding the principles behind their success. This learning accelerates progress and reduces unnecessary trial and error. Income growth through skills is closely tied to value creation. The more value you create, the more opportunities you attract. Value is not measured by effort alone, but by impact. A person who solves important problems effectively becomes more valuable over time. This value is what leads to higher income, better opportunities, and greater stability. Patience is essential in this process. Skill development does not produce immediate financial results. It requires time before it translates into increased income. Many people give up too early because they expect quick outcomes. However, those who continue steadily eventually reach a point where their skills begin to generate visible financial improvement. The delay is part of the process, not a sign of failure. It is also important to remain consistent even when progress feels slow. Early stages of learning often involve confusion and repeated mistakes. This can feel discouraging. But with continued effort, clarity begins to develop. What once felt difficult becomes easier. What once required effort becomes natural. This transition is what leads to mastery. Increasing income through skills also requires confidence in your ability to improve. Doubt can slow progress by creating hesitation. Confidence grows through practice and experience. Each small improvement reinforces belief in your ability to grow. Over time, this confidence becomes stronger and supports further development. A practical approach is to set clear learning goals. Instead of vague intentions like improving a skill, define specific areas of focus. This creates direction and makes progress measurable. Clear goals help maintain consistency and prevent distraction. They also provide motivation by showing progress over time. It is also useful to combine learning with teaching or sharing knowledge. Explaining what you learn to others strengthens understanding. It forces clarity and reveals gaps in knowledge. This process deepens mastery and reinforces retention. Rare skills are not always technical. They can also include communication, decision-making, leadership, and emotional intelligence. These skills are valuable because they influence outcomes in many areas. Developing them increases overall effectiveness and expands opportunities. As skills improve, income begins to reflect that growth. Opportunities increase because capability increases. People trust those who demonstrate skill and reliability. This trust leads to greater responsibility, better positions, and higher compensation. Income becomes a reflection of value provided. The process of increasing income through skills is gradual but reliable. It does not depend on chance or sudden events. It depends on consistent effort, focused learning, and practical application. Over time, this approach builds a strong foundation for financial growth. Each hour spent improving a valuable skill is an investment in future stability. Each effort to practice and refine ability increases long-term potential. Each step forward, no matter how small, contributes to greater financial strength. In the end, income is closely connected to capability. The more valuable and rare your skills become, the more opportunities you create for yourself. This path requires patience, discipline, and commitment, but it leads to lasting growth that is built on real ability rather than temporary advantage. Chapter 12. Avoid debt traps by spending only what you afford. Debt becomes dangerous not only because of the money involved, but because of how quietly it changes behavior. It often begins with convenience. Something is needed, something is desired, or something feels out of reach in the moment. Borrowing makes it feel possible immediately. That instant access creates relief, but the cost is delayed. Over time, that delay turns into pressure. Many people do not notice the shift until their monthly income is no longer fully their own. A portion of it is already spoken for before it even arrives. Avoiding debt traps begins with a simple but powerful principle. Only spend what you actually have. This principle sounds obvious, but it becomes difficult to follow when emotions, expectations, and social pressure enter financial decisions. The temptation to use future income today creates a false sense of affordability. It makes purchases feel smaller than they are. It disconnects the decision from its long-term impact. Debt is not always harmful, but uncontrolled debt is. When borrowing is not carefully planned or fully understood, it slowly reduces financial freedom. Each repayment becomes a fixed obligation. Each obligation reduces flexibility. Over time, choices become limited, not by income potential but by past decisions. This is how financial pressure builds quietly in the background of daily life. Spending only what you afford means building awareness of your real financial position. It requires understanding how much money is truly available after essential needs are met. Not projected income, not expected income, actual available resources. This awareness creates clarity. It helps distinguish between what is possible and what only feels possible in the moment. A major reason people fall into debt traps is the gap between desire and patience. When something is wanted strongly, waiting can feel uncomfortable. Credit reduces that discomfort by removing the need to wait. But this removal comes at a cost. It shifts responsibility into the future. The mind enjoys the present benefit while the future carries the burden. Over time, this imbalance creates stress. Financial discipline is built on the ability to delay satisfaction. Not every desire needs immediate fulfillment. Not every opportunity requires instant action. When patience becomes part of financial behavior, decisions become more stable. A person begins to evaluate whether a purchase is necessary or simply emotional. This pause reduces impulsive borrowing. Another important factor is understanding fixed obligations. Once debt is taken, it becomes part of monthly life. Unlike flexible expenses, it cannot easily be reduced. This creates long-term pressure. Even if circumstances change, the obligation remains. This is why it is important to consider not only whether a purchase is affordable today, but whether it will remain manageable in the future. Avoiding debt traps also requires honesty with oneself. It is easy to justify borrowing by focusing only on benefits. A new item, a better experience, or an improved lifestyle can feel worth it in the moment. But true financial clarity comes from also considering the cost of repayment. Every borrowed amount carries additional responsibility. Recognizing this balance prevents unrealistic decisions. A strong habit is to evaluate purchases based on current income rather than expected income. Future earnings are uncertain and should not be used as a guarantee for present spending. When decisions are based only on what is already available, financial stability becomes easier to maintain. This approach removes guesswork and reduces risk. It is also important to separate needs from wants clearly. Needs support basic stability. Wants improve comfort or convenience. When these two categories become blurred, spending increases without control. Debt often grows in the space where wants are treated as needs. Clear separation helps maintain discipline and prevents unnecessary borrowing. Another key aspect is resisting external pressure. Social environments can influence spending behavior. When others are upgrading their lifestyle or making large purchases, there can be a sense of pressure to match that level. This comparison often leads to financial decisions that are not aligned with personal capacity. Staying grounded in your own situation protects against this influence. Debt can also create emotional stress. Even when payments are manageable, the awareness of obligation can create mental burden. This stress affects decision-making, focus, and overall well-being. Living within your means removes this pressure. It creates a sense of control and stability that supports clearer thinking. Building the habit of saving before spending is one of the strongest protections against debt. When savings exist, unexpected needs can be handled without borrowing. This reduces dependency on external sources of money. It also builds confidence because there is a buffer in place for emergencies or opportunities. Another important practice is reviewing expenses regularly. Many people do not realize how much they are committing to until they examine their financial habits closely. Small recurring costs, when combined, can create hidden pressure. Regular review helps identify areas where spending can be adjusted before debt becomes necessary. It is also useful to create internal limits for yourself. Before making a purchase, decide in advance whether it fits within your current capacity. This self-imposed boundary acts as a safeguard. It prevents emotional decisions from overriding rational thinking in the moment. Avoiding debt traps is also about understanding long-term consequences. A single decision to borrow may seem small, but repeated decisions create patterns. These patterns shape financial structure over time. What begins as convenience can slowly become dependence. Recognizing this early helps prevent long-term difficulties. A disciplined financial approach focuses on control rather than access. Just because money can be borrowed does not mean it should be used. Control comes from the ability to say no even when something is available. This control is what preserves financial freedom. It is also important to build comfort with slower progress. Debt often promises faster results. It allows immediate acquisition of things that would otherwise require time to obtain. But this speed comes at the cost of future flexibility. Choosing slower, steady progress builds stronger long-term outcomes. It may require patience, but it avoids unnecessary pressure. Financial stability grows when decisions are made with full awareness of consequences. Each spending choice should be evaluated not only for its immediate benefit, but also for its long-term impact. Will this decision reduce flexibility in the future? Will it create ongoing obligation? Will it limit other opportunities? These questions help guide responsible behavior. Avoiding debt traps also strengthens self-trust. When a person consistently spends within their means, they build confidence in their ability to manage money. This confidence reduces anxiety and increases clarity in financial decisions. It creates a stable foundation for future growth. There will always be opportunities that encourage borrowing. Some may appear attractive or urgent. The ability to pause and evaluate these situations is essential. Not every opportunity requires immediate action. Some require waiting, planning, or declining altogether. Financial independence is closely tied to freedom from unnecessary debt. The less you owe, the more control you have over your income. This control allows you to make decisions based on preference rather than obligation. It opens space for growth, saving, and investment. Each time you choose to spend only what you have, you strengthen financial discipline. Each time you avoid unnecessary borrowing, you protect your future stability. Each decision builds a pattern of responsibility that becomes stronger over time. In the end, avoiding debt traps is not about restriction. It is about clarity. It is about understanding your limits and respecting them. It is about making decisions that support long-term stability rather than short-term satisfaction. This approach creates a financial life that is steady, controlled, and free from unnecessary pressure. Chapter 13. Practice gratitude to reduce unnecessary financial pressure. Financial pressure is not created only by lack of money. It is also created by how the mind interprets what is already present. Two people can have similar income and very different levels of stress. One feels constantly behind, always needing more, always comparing, always chasing. The other feels steadier, more grounded, more aware of what is already enough for the moment. The difference is not only financial, it is mental. One of the most powerful ways to reduce unnecessary financial pressure is to practice gratitude. Gratitude changes the relationship a person has with money. Without it, attention naturally moves toward what is missing. The mind focuses on what is not owned, what is not achieved, and what is not yet improved. This creates a feeling of lack, even when basic needs are met. That feeling of lack often leads to unnecessary spending. People try to fill the gap with purchases, upgrades, or temporary comfort. But the relief does not last, because the root of the pressure was not solved. When gratitude is present, attention shifts. Instead of focusing on absence, the mind begins to recognize what is already stable and available. Income that supports daily life, a place to stay, food that is accessible, work that provides value, skills that are growing over time. These are often overlooked when attention is fixed only on what is missing. Recognizing them creates a sense of stability that reduces emotional pressure. This shift in focus directly affects financial behavior. A person who feels constantly lacking is more likely to spend impulsively. They seek comfort through consumption. They look for quick relief from internal discomfort. A person who feels a sense of appreciation for what they already have is less driven by impulse. They make more deliberate decisions. Spending becomes less about emotional relief and more about actual need or value. Gratitude does not remove ambition. It does not stop growth. It simply creates balance. A person can still want improvement while also appreciating their current position. This balance is important because constant dissatisfaction leads to mental exhaustion. When the mind is always focused on what is missing, it becomes difficult to make calm and rational financial decisions. Practicing gratitude also reduces comparison. Comparison is one of the hidden sources of financial pressure. When people constantly measure their lives against others, they often feel behind even when they are progressing. This feeling can lead to unnecessary spending in an attempt to match external standards. Gratitude interrupts this pattern by bringing attention back to personal reality instead of external perception. A grounded financial mindset is built on awareness of what is already working. Income that arrives consistently, even if it is not perfect. Progress that is happening slowly but steadily. Basic needs that are being met without constant struggle. These elements form the foundation of stability. When they are acknowledged, the urgency to overspend decreases. Gratitude also helps reduce the emotional weight attached to money decisions. Without it, every expense can feel stressful. Even small purchases may feel heavy because the mind is already operating from a place of pressure. With gratitude, there is a sense of calm acceptance. Decisions feel lighter because they are not driven by fear or lack. This practice also strengthens patience. When a person recognizes what they already have, they are less likely to rush into unnecessary financial decisions. There is less urgency to change circumstances immediately. This patience supports better planning and more thoughtful use of money. It reduces impulsive behavior that often leads to regret later. Another important effect of gratitude is increased satisfaction with simpler living. When appreciation is present, there is less need for constant upgrading. A person becomes more aware that comfort does not always require higher spending. Many things that bring stability and ease already exist within their current lifestyle. This realization naturally limits unnecessary financial expansion. Gratitude also improves decision clarity. Financial decisions often become confusing when the mind is filled with pressure and dissatisfaction. It becomes harder to distinguish between real needs and emotional desires. A calm and appreciative mindset creates clearer thinking. Choices become easier to evaluate because they are not clouded by emotional urgency. It is also important to understand that gratitude is a practice, not a one-time thought. It needs to be repeated consistently. Over time, it reshapes the way the mind processes financial situations. Instead of automatically focusing on lack, the mind begins to notice stability first. This shift does not happen instantly, but it becomes stronger with repetition. One practical way to develop this habit is to regularly reflect on what is already sufficient in your life. Not in a forced or artificial way, but in a simple acknowledgement of reality. Recognizing that certain needs are already met reduces the internal pressure to constantly seek more. This does not stop improvement. It simply removes unnecessary stress from the process. Gratitude also creates emotional resilience. Financial life includes uncertainty. There are moments of difficulty, slow progress, or unexpected challenges. A mind that is trained to recognize what is already present remains more stable during these periods. Instead of focusing only on what is going wrong, it maintains awareness of what is still intact. This balance helps reduce panic and poor decision-making. Another benefit is reduced attachment to external validation. Many financial decisions are influenced by the desire to appear successful or keep up with others. Gratitude weakens this influence by reinforcing internal satisfaction. When a person feels grounded in what they already have, They are less likely to make decisions for appearance alone. Financial pressure often grows when expectations exceed reality. Gratitude helps align expectations with current conditions. It creates acceptance of where you are while still allowing space for growth. This alignment reduces frustration and makes financial planning more realistic. It also encourages mindful spending. When appreciation is present, each purchase is considered more carefully. There is less tendency to spend automatically or without reflection. Money becomes something that is used with intention rather than emotional reaction. This improves overall financial control. Gratitude can also change the way progress is seen. Instead of only focusing on what has not yet been achieved, attention includes what has already improved. Income that has increased over time, habits that have become more disciplined, and mistakes that have been avoided all become part of the awareness. This recognition builds confidence and motivation to continue. A stable financial mindset does not come from constant acquisition. It comes from understanding balance. Gratitude plays a key role in creating this balance. It allows a person to pursue growth without being controlled by dissatisfaction. It creates space between desire and action, which is essential for wise financial decisions. There is also a deeper sense of peace that comes from practicing gratitude. Money will always involve some level of pressure because it is connected to survival, comfort, and goals. But this pressure does not have to dominate the mind. With gratitude, it becomes manageable. It no longer feels overwhelming because it is balanced by awareness of what is already sufficient. This sense of peace influences long-term financial behavior. A calm mind is more consistent. It is less reactive. It makes fewer impulsive choices. Over time, this consistency leads to stronger financial outcomes than short bursts of effort driven by stress. Gratitude also strengthens discipline. When a person values what they already have, they are more likely to protect it. This includes avoiding wasteful spending, unnecessary debt, and emotional financial decisions. Appreciation naturally leads to responsibility. In the long run, practicing gratitude reduces unnecessary financial pressure by changing the internal environment in which decisions are made. It does not change external circumstances immediately, but it changes how those circumstances are experienced. This shift is powerful because financial stress often comes more from perception than from reality alone. Each moment of recognition builds stability. Each acknowledgement of sufficiency reduces urgency. Each reflection on what is already present strengthens calmness. Over time, these small mental shifts create a more grounded and controlled financial life. In the end, gratitude is not about ignoring challenges. It is about seeing life more clearly. It is about recognizing that while improvement is important, pressure does not need to dominate the process. When gratitude becomes part of thinking, financial decisions become lighter, clearer, and more intentional. This creates a steady foundation for both peace and long-term financial growth. Chapter 14. Plan your future with clear and realistic financial systems. A stable financial future does not happen by chance. It is not built through random decisions or occasional effort. It is built through systems that guide money behavior consistently over time. Without a system, financial life becomes reactive. Income arrives and disappears without structure. Decisions are made based on mood, pressure, or convenience. Over time, this creates uncertainty. Planning the future with clear and realistic financial systems brings order to this uncertainty and turns financial behavior into a steady process rather than a series of unpredictable actions. A financial system is not complicated. It is simply a structure that decides where money goes before it is spent. It removes confusion at the moment of decision because the direction has already been defined. Without this structure, every expense becomes a negotiation. With it, money has a clear purpose. It is allocated with intention rather than emotion. The first step in building a financial system is understanding current reality. Many people make the mistake of planning based on what they wish their finances were instead of what they actually are. This creates systems that are unrealistic and difficult to follow. A strong system begins with honest awareness of income, expenses, obligations, and limitations. This clarity is not limiting. It is empowering because it shows exactly what can be improved. Once reality is clear, the next step is allocation. Money should have direction before it is used. When income is received, it should not sit without structure. It should be divided into categories based on purpose. Essential needs, savings, future goals, and controlled spending each play a role. This separation prevents money from being consumed without thought. It ensures that important areas are not neglected in favor of immediate desires. A realistic financial system respects both discipline and flexibility. It does not create extreme restrictions that are impossible to maintain. Instead, it creates balance. A portion of income is directed toward responsibilities, a portion toward growth, and a portion toward living. This balance is important because systems that are too strict often fail over time. A system must fit real life in order to remain sustainable. Planning for the future also requires time perspective. Many people focus only on immediate financial needs. This short-term focus leads to decisions that do not support long-term stability. A financial system introduces a longer view. It considers not only what is needed today, but also what will be required in the coming months and years. This includes savings, emergency preparation, and long-term goals. When time is included in planning, decisions become more stable and less reactive. Another important part of financial systems is consistency. A system is only useful if it is followed regularly. Occasional use does not create meaningful change. The strength of a system comes from repetition. When the same structure is applied month after month, financial behavior becomes predictable. Predictability reduces stress because there are fewer surprises and fewer uncontrolled situations. Clear financial systems also reduce decision fatigue. Without structure, every financial choice requires mental effort. Should this be spent now or saved? Is this purchase necessary or optional? These questions repeat constantly. A system answers many of these questions in advance. It removes unnecessary thinking during moments of spending. This creates mental space and reduces emotional pressure. A strong system also includes tracking. Without awareness of where money goes, it is difficult to improve behavior. Tracking does not need to be complex. It simply requires attention to movement of money. When spending is visible, patterns become clear. These patterns reveal areas where adjustments are needed. This awareness is essential for improvement because it replaces assumption with reality. Planning with systems also builds discipline naturally. Instead of relying on motivation, behavior is guided by structure. This is important because motivation changes frequently. A system remains constant even when motivation is low. It ensures that essential actions continue regardless of emotional state. This consistency is what creates long-term stability. Another key element is setting realistic expectations. Financial systems should match actual capacity, not idealized outcomes. If expectations are too high, the system becomes difficult to maintain. If they are too low, progress becomes slow. A balanced system challenges the individual while remaining achievable. This balance ensures steady improvement without burnout. Financial systems also help prepare for uncertainty. Life is unpredictable. Expenses can increase unexpectedly. Income can fluctuate. Without preparation, these changes can create stress. A well-designed system includes space for uncertainty. This may be in the form of savings or flexible allocation. This preparation reduces the impact of unexpected events and helps maintain stability. It is also important to regularly review the system. Financial life changes over time. Income may increase or decrease, responsibilities may shift, goals may evolve. A system that remains unchanged for too long can become outdated. Regular review ensures that the structure continues to reflect current reality. Adjustments keep the system effective and relevant. A realistic financial system also supports goal achievement. When money is organized properly, progress toward goals becomes measurable. Whether the goal is saving, investing, or reducing debt, the system provides structure for consistent progress. Without structure, goals remain abstract. With structure, they become actionable. Another benefit of financial systems is reduced emotional influence. Without structure, financial decisions are often influenced by emotion. Stress can lead to unnecessary spending. Excitement can lead to impulsive choices. A system reduces the impact of these emotions by providing predetermined direction. It acts as a stabilizing force during emotional fluctuations. Planning also improves confidence. When a person knows where their money is going and why, they feel more in control. This sense of control reduces anxiety and increases clarity. Financial uncertainty often comes from lack of structure. When structure is present, uncertainty decreases. A financial system should also include long-term vision. This means understanding what kind of financial life is being built over time. Whether the goal is stability, independence, or growth, the system should support that direction. Without vision, financial decisions become scattered. With vision, every action contributes to a larger purpose. Simplicity is also important. Overly complicated systems are difficult to maintain. A simple structure is more likely to be followed consistently. Simplicity does not reduce effectiveness. In fact, it increases it because it makes execution easier. The goal is not complexity. The goal is clarity and consistency. It is also helpful to automate parts of the system where possible. Automatic savings or recurring allocations reduce the need for constant decision-making. This reduces the chance of human error or emotional interference. Automation supports consistency and strengthens discipline. A well-built financial system also encourages responsibility. It shifts behavior from reactive spending to intentional planning. Each decision becomes part of a larger structure rather than an isolated action. This sense of responsibility strengthens financial maturity. Over time, the impact of a financial system becomes clear. Stress decreases because uncertainty is reduced. Savings increase because allocation is consistent. Spending becomes more controlled because decisions are guided by structure. Financial progress becomes visible and steady. The most important aspect of building a financial system is commitment. The system itself is only as strong as the consistency behind it. Even a simple structure can produce strong results if followed properly. Without commitment, even a complex system will fail. Planning your future with clear and realistic financial systems is about creating order in financial life. It is about replacing randomness with structure, emotion with intention, and uncertainty with clarity. It transforms money management from a reactive process into a controlled and purposeful system. Each time the system is followed, stability increases. Each adjustment improves accuracy. Each cycle strengthens discipline. Over time, this creates a financial life that is not only organized but also resilient and prepared for the future. Chapter 15. Learn from mistakes and improve your money habits daily. Mistakes are an unavoidable part of financial life. No one manages money perfectly. Every decision carries some level of uncertainty, and every person, regardless of experience, will make choices they later question. What separates long-term financial growth from repeated struggle is not the absence of mistakes, but the ability to learn from them. When mistakes are ignored, they repeat. When they are understood, they become lessons that shape better habits. Many people react to financial mistakes with frustration or avoidance. They prefer not to think about what went wrong. This reaction is natural, but it is also harmful when it becomes a habit. Avoiding reflection prevents learning. It keeps the same patterns alive. A mistake that is not examined has no value because it does not lead to change. Growth begins only when attention is given to what happened and why it happened. Learning from mistakes starts with honesty. It requires acknowledging the decision without justification or denial. This does not mean harsh self-judgment. It means clear observation. What was the situation? What choice was made? What was expected to happen? What actually happened? This simple breakdown removes emotional distortion and reveals the real structure of the decision. Clarity is the foundation of improvement. Money habits are built through repetition. Daily actions shape long-term outcomes more than occasional major decisions. Because of this, even small mistakes matter. A repeated pattern of minor poor choices can create significant financial pressure over time. Recognizing these patterns early allows correction before they become deeply rooted. Improvement happens when awareness is applied to everyday behavior, not just large financial events. One of the most important lessons from mistakes is understanding triggers. Many financial errors are not random. They are often connected to emotions or situations. Stress can lead to impulsive spending. Excitement can lead to unnecessary purchases. Fatigue can reduce careful thinking. When these triggers are identified, they can be managed more effectively. Awareness reduces their influence over time. Improving money habits daily requires attention to small decisions. Each day presents opportunities to either strengthen or weaken financial discipline. Choosing carefully how money is used, even in small amounts, builds consistency. When mistakes occur, they should not reset progress. Instead, they should guide adjustment. A mistake does not erase discipline. It provides information for improvement. Another important aspect is separating emotion from evaluation. After a financial mistake, emotions often appear strongly. There may be regret, frustration, or disappointment. While these feelings are natural, they should not control analysis. Emotional reaction can distort understanding. Calm reflection allows for clearer insight. When emotions settle, the situation can be reviewed more objectively. A useful approach is to treat each mistake as data rather than failure. Data provides information about what does not work. This information is valuable because it helps refine future decisions. When viewed this way, mistakes become part of a learning system rather than signs of weakness. This shift in perspective reduces fear and encourages continued effort. Improvement also requires consistency. One reflection is not enough. Habits change through repetition. Daily review of financial behavior, even briefly, strengthens awareness. This does not need to be complex. It simply involves noticing past patterns, recognizing decisions, and identifying areas for adjustment. Over time, this creates a stronger sense of control. It is also important to avoid repeating the same mistake without adjustment. Repetition without learning leads to stagnation. When a similar error happens more than once, it signals that deeper attention is needed. There may be a habit or belief that has not been addressed. Identifying the root cause is essential for lasting improvement. Financial mistakes often reveal gaps in planning. Sometimes expenses were not anticipated. Sometimes priorities were unclear. Sometimes decisions were made too quickly. Each of these situations points to an area that can be strengthened. Planning becomes more effective when it is adjusted based on real experience rather than assumption. Another key element is patience with progress. Improving money habits is not immediate. Change happens gradually. Expecting instant transformation can lead to frustration. Real improvement comes from steady adjustment over time. Each correction builds on the previous one. Over weeks and months, these small changes create noticeable difference. Learning from mistakes also strengthens decision-making confidence. When a person understands why a mistake happened, they are less likely to repeat it. This creates a sense of control. Instead of fearing future decisions, they approach them with greater awareness. Confidence grows not from perfection, but from understanding. It is also important to recognize that mistakes often carry hidden benefits. While the immediate result may be negative, the long-term value lies in what is learned. A mistake can reveal weaknesses that would otherwise remain unnoticed. It can highlight habits that need correction. It can provide experience that improves judgment in future situations. Daily improvement in money habits also involves simplifying decisions. Complexity increases the chance of error. When financial choices are clear and structured, mistakes become easier to identify and correct. Simplicity supports consistency. It reduces confusion and helps maintain focus on what truly matters. Another important practice is reviewing financial actions regularly. This does not require extensive analysis. It simply involves checking whether daily behavior aligns with intended goals. When differences are noticed, adjustments can be made early. This prevents small issues from growing into larger problems. Mistakes also teach boundaries. Sometimes financial errors occur because limits were not clear. Spending without defined boundaries can lead to imbalance. Learning from this helps establish clearer rules for future decisions. Boundaries create structure, and structure supports stability. It is also valuable to observe progress alongside mistakes. While errors highlight what needs improvement, progress shows what is working. Both are important. Focusing only on mistakes can create discouragement. Recognizing improvement provides motivation to continue. Balance between reflection and appreciation keeps the process sustainable. Financial growth requires acceptance that perfection is not the goal. The goal is improvement. Each day offers a chance to make slightly better decisions than the day before. Over time, these improvements accumulate. Even small adjustments in habits can lead to meaningful long-term results. Another important factor is willingness to adapt. As financial situations change, habits must adjust as well. A method that worked in one situation may need refinement in another. Flexibility allows continued growth. Resistance to change can limit progress. Adaptation ensures that habits remain effective over time. Learning from mistakes also builds resilience. When a person becomes comfortable with analyzing and adjusting after errors, they become less afraid of making decisions. Fear decreases because mistakes are no longer seen as permanent setbacks. Instead, they are viewed as temporary feedback. This mindset supports continuous action and improvement. Daily money habits improve when attention is consistent. Small moments of awareness throughout the day help reinforce better choices. Over time, this awareness becomes natural. Decisions begin to align more closely with long-term goals without requiring constant effort. Each mistake carries a lesson. Each lesson strengthens understanding. Each improvement builds stronger habits. This cycle, when repeated consistently, creates steady financial growth. The key is not avoiding mistakes entirely, but using them as tools for development. In the end, learning from mistakes and improving money habits daily is about continuous refinement. It is about paying attention, adjusting behavior, and moving forward with greater awareness. Financial strength grows through this process, not through perfection, but through steady learning and consistent improvement over time. Chapter 16. Build multiple income streams to create financial stability. Relying on a single source of income creates a fragile financial structure. When everything depends on one stream, any disruption can affect the entire system. A job loss, reduced hours, business slowdown, or unexpected change in circumstances can quickly create financial pressure. This is why building multiple income streams is not just a strategy for growth, but a method for creating stability and protection in an uncertain world. Financial stability becomes stronger when income is not concentrated in one place. Multiple streams reduce dependency. They spread risk across different sources. This structure ensures that if one stream weakens, others can continue to support financial needs. It creates balance and reduces the emotional stress that comes from financial uncertainty. Building multiple income streams begins with understanding that income does not have to come from a single effort or role. Many people are conditioned to think in linear terms. One job equals one income, one skill equals one outcome. This limited perspective restricts financial potential. When thinking expands beyond this structure, new possibilities appear. Income can be generated from different skills, activities, or assets working simultaneously. The first step is strengthening the primary income source. Stability in one area provides the foundation for expansion. Without this base, trying to build multiple streams can create imbalance. A strong primary income supports other efforts while they are still developing. It provides the time and resources needed to explore additional opportunities without pressure. Once the foundation is stable, attention can shift toward creating secondary income streams. These do not need to be large at the beginning. They can start small and gradually grow over time. The key is consistency and patience. Each additional stream adds a layer of security. Over time, these layers combine to create a more resilient financial structure. Multiple income streams can come from different categories. Some may involve active effort, where time and skill are directly exchanged for money. Others may involve more passive systems, where initial effort continues to generate returns over time. Understanding this difference helps in planning and balancing energy. Active income provides immediate support, while passive or semi-passive income contributes to long-term stability. A common mistake is trying to build too many income streams at once. This often leads to scattered effort and weak results. A more effective approach is to develop one additional stream at a time. Focus, consistency, and gradual expansion produce stronger outcomes than rapid but unfocused attempts. Stability grows when each stream is given proper attention before moving to the next. Building additional income also requires skill development. New income sources often depend on new abilities or improved versions of existing ones. This is why continuous learning is important. The more valuable your skills become, the more opportunities you can access. Skill improvement directly increases income potential and opens doors to different types of earning possibilities. Time management plays an important role in managing multiple income streams. Each stream requires attention, especially in the early stages. Without proper organization, efforts can become overwhelming. A structured approach ensures that each income source receives enough focus to grow without disrupting others. Balance is essential for long-term sustainability. Another important aspect is understanding scalability. Some income streams have the potential to grow significantly over time without requiring equal increases in effort. Identifying these opportunities is valuable because they contribute to long-term financial expansion. A scalable income source can eventually provide more stability than multiple, small, limited streams combined. Multiple income streams also create psychological security. When income comes from different sources, financial stress decreases. There is less fear of sudden loss because the entire system does not depend on a single point of failure. This sense of security improves decision-making. It reduces anxiety and allows for more confident financial planning. It is also important to align income streams with personal strengths and interests where possible. While financial opportunity is important, sustainability improves when work feels manageable and meaningful. A stream that aligns with existing skills is easier to maintain and develop. This reduces resistance and increases long-term consistency. Building additional income streams often starts with observation. Noticing where value can be created outside of primary work is a key step. This may involve identifying skills that can be offered in different ways, exploring digital opportunities, or developing systems that generate income independently. Awareness is the foundation of expansion. Financial growth through multiple streams also requires patience. Secondary income sources rarely produce significant results immediately. They require time to develop, stabilize, and grow. Many people abandon these efforts too early because they expect quick outcomes. Understanding that growth is gradual helps maintain commitment during early stages. Reinvestment is another important principle. Income generated from additional streams should be used wisely to support further growth. This may involve improving skills, expanding opportunities, or strengthening existing systems. Reinvestment accelerates development and helps income streams become more stable over time. It is also important to regularly evaluate each income source. Not all streams will perform equally. Some may grow stronger, while others may remain limited. Evaluation helps determine where effort should be focused. This prevents wasted energy and ensures that attention is directed toward the most productive areas. Multiple income streams also encourage adaptability. Economic conditions, industries, and opportunities change over time. Having diverse sources of income allows for flexibility in response to these changes. When one area slows down, others can compensate. This adaptability is essential for long-term financial resilience. Discipline is required to maintain consistency across different streams. Without discipline, it becomes easy to neglect smaller sources of income. However, even small streams contribute to overall stability. Consistent attention ensures that each source continues to develop and remain active. It is also important to avoid unnecessary complexity. While diversification is beneficial, overly complicated systems can become difficult to manage. Simplicity within structure allows for better control and clearer understanding of performance. Each income stream should have a defined purpose and manageable scope. Building multiple income streams gradually shifts financial mindset. Instead of relying on one source for survival, thinking expands toward creation and expansion. This mindset change is powerful because it encourages proactive behavior. It moves financial life from dependency toward independence. Over time, multiple income streams create compounding effects. As each stream grows, overall financial stability increases. This stability provides opportunities for further growth, investment, and improvement. The system begins to support itself, creating a cycle of expansion. Another benefit is increased confidence in financial decisions. When income is diversified, there is less fear associated with change. Decisions can be made more calmly because risk is distributed. This confidence supports better long-term planning and reduces hesitation. Building multiple income streams is not about chasing every opportunity. It is about creating structured and intentional sources of value. Each stream should serve a purpose within the overall financial system. Random or unfocused efforts do not create stability. Purposeful expansion does. Each new income stream represents progress toward financial independence. It reduces reliance on a single source and increases control over financial outcomes. This control is one of the most important aspects of long-term stability. In the end, building multiple income streams is about creating a financial structure that is adaptable and sustainable. It is about ensuring that income is not limited to one path, but supported by several. It is about growing steadily while reducing risk. Each stream added strengthens the overall system. Each effort to diversify builds security. Each step forward increases independence. Over time, this approach creates a financial life that is stable, flexible, and capable of supporting long-term growth even in changing conditions. Chapter 17. Stay consistent even when results feel slow and invisible. Financial progress often fails not because people lack effort, but because they cannot tolerate slow results. When effort does not immediately translate into visible change, doubt begins to appear. The mind starts questioning whether the path is correct, whether the effort is worth it, or whether something should be changed. This is where most people lose momentum. They stop not because the system is wrong, but because they cannot see immediate proof that it is working. Consistency during slow progress is one of the most important financial disciplines. Real growth rarely shows itself instantly. It builds quietly in the background. Habits take time to produce measurable outcomes. Skills take time to convert into income. Savings take time to accumulate. Investments take time to grow. In the early stages, everything feels like effort without return. But this stage is not failure, it is construction. The invisible phase of progress is where most long-term success is formed. It is the period where actions are still developing strength. Just like physical training, results do not appear after a few sessions. Strength develops internally before it becomes visible externally. Financial habits work in the same way. Repetition creates structure. Structure creates stability. Stability eventually creates visible results. Staying consistent during this phase requires a shift in expectation. If a person expects immediate outcomes, they will feel disappointed often. But if they understand that progress is delayed, patience becomes easier. The focus moves away from instant results and toward long-term direction. This shift reduces frustration and supports continued action. One of the main reasons people lose consistency is comparison. When they see others appearing successful faster, they assume their own progress is too slow. This comparison creates pressure and weakens discipline. However, what is visible in others is only the final stage of their process. The unseen years of effort are not always visible. Every financial journey includes a hidden period of development that cannot be measured in real time. Consistency also requires emotional control. When results are not visible, emotions can create doubt. The mind may suggest stopping, changing direction, or trying something completely different. These reactions are natural, but they often interrupt progress. Emotional decisions during slow phases usually lead to restarting the process repeatedly instead of completing it. A stable financial mindset understands that time is part of the process, not an obstacle to it. Time allows systems to mature, it allows habits to stabilize, it allows skills to strengthen. Without time, none of these elements can fully develop. What feels slow is often just the necessary period of formation. Another important factor is trust in the process. Trust does not mean blind belief. It means understanding how growth works. When a system is built correctly and followed consistently, results will come, even if they are delayed. This understanding reduces the urge to constantly change direction. Frequent changes interrupt momentum and reset progress before it has a chance to compound. Financial consistency also depends on daily behavior. Big actions are rare, but small actions happen every day. Saving a small amount regularly, learning consistently, managing spending carefully, and improving skills gradually all contribute to long-term outcomes. These actions may seem insignificant individually, but their repetition creates strong results over time. The challenge is that small progress does not provide immediate emotional reward. The mind prefers noticeable change. It feels more satisfying to see quick results. But financial growth does not always offer that satisfaction in the beginning. Discipline is required to continue even when feedback is minimal. Invisible progress is still real progress. Just because results are not visible does not mean nothing is happening. Systems are building strength internally. Financial habits are becoming more stable. Knowledge is expanding. Experience is increasing. These changes will eventually translate into visible outcomes, but only after enough time has passed. One effective way to maintain consistency is to focus on identity rather than results. Instead of thinking about what has been achieved, focus on who is becoming. A person who consistently saves is becoming financially disciplined. A person who continues learning is becoming more skilled. A person who manages money carefully is becoming more stable. Identity grows even when results are not yet visible. Another important element is reducing the need for constant validation. When progress depends on visible results, motivation becomes unstable. But when progress is understood as a long-term process, validation becomes less important. The focus shifts from proving success to building it. Consistency also requires patience with repetition. Doing the same actions repeatedly can feel monotonous. However, repetition is the mechanism through which mastery is built. Every repetition strengthens understanding and improves execution. Without repetition, there is no depth. Without depth, results remain limited. Financial success is not created through sudden transformation. It is created through accumulated effort that eventually reaches a tipping point. Before that point, progress may feel slow. After that point, progress becomes visible and more rapid. But the early stage is essential. It is where foundation is built. Another important truth is that invisible progress often protects future stability. The discipline developed during slow phases becomes the reason success can be sustained later. Without this foundation, fast success can collapse easily. Slow growth builds resilience. It prepares the mind for handling larger responsibility. Consistency during slow progress also builds self-trust. Each time a person continues despite uncertainty, they strengthen their confidence in their own discipline. This self-trust becomes valuable in all financial decisions. It reduces hesitation and increases stability in behavior. It is also important to understand that financial systems often work in cycles. There are periods where results feel slow and periods where progress becomes more visible. Both are part of the same process. Recognizing this pattern helps prevent discouragement during slower phases. A useful approach is to measure effort instead of outcome during invisible phases. Instead of focusing only on results, attention can be placed on whether actions are being completed consistently. This shift reduces pressure and keeps focus on what can be controlled. Discipline is not tested when results are visible. It is tested when nothing seems to be changing. Anyone can stay motivated when progress is obvious. The real challenge is continuing when progress is hidden. This is where long-term success is determined. Over time, consistency builds momentum. Even if progress is not visible at first, accumulated effort eventually reaches a point where results begin to appear. When that happens, it may feel sudden, but it is actually the outcome of long-term repetition. Each day of consistent action adds to future strength. Each moment of patience reinforces discipline. Each step taken without visible reward builds foundation. These layers accumulate silently until they become undeniable progress. In the end, staying consistent, even when results feel slow and invisible, is about understanding the nature of growth. It is about accepting that real change takes time and that early effort is never wasted. It is about continuing action without relying on immediate feedback. Financial success is built in the unseen moments. It is shaped in the periods when no recognition is present and no results are obvious. Those who continue during these phases are the ones who eventually experience lasting stability and growth. Chapter 18. Protect your money by thinking before trusting opportunities. Financial opportunities often appear attractive at first glance. They may come through people, advertisements, promises, or sudden chances that seem to offer quick improvement in income or lifestyle. In these moments, the desire for progress can cloud judgment. When money feels limited or when improvement feels slow, anything that promises faster results can feel appealing. This is exactly where financial mistakes often begin. Protecting money requires the discipline to pause, observe, and think before trusting any opportunity. Trust in financial matters should never be automatic. It must be earned through clarity and understanding. Many losses happen not because people lack intelligence, but because decisions are made too quickly. When excitement or urgency takes control, the ability to evaluate clearly becomes weaker. A strong financial mindset introduces a delay between opportunity and action. That pause is where protection exists. Every opportunity should be examined with calm attention. The first question is not what can be gained, but what is required. Many situations that promise returns also require risk, commitment, or hidden costs. Without understanding these elements, decisions become incomplete. A clear mind focuses on both sides of the situation, not just the attractive part. Another important step is understanding pressure. Opportunities that create urgency often deserve more caution, not less. When someone insists that a decision must be made quickly, it reduces the space for reflection. This pressure is often designed to bypass careful thinking. A stable financial mindset does not respond to urgency with speed. It responds with patience. Protecting money is closely connected to emotional control. Excitement can make opportunities seem more valuable than they are. Fear of missing out can push people into decisions they would normally question. These emotions are powerful, but they can be managed through awareness. When emotions are recognized, they lose some of their influence. This allows thinking to remain clear. A key principle in financial safety is verification. No opportunity should be accepted without understanding how it works. This includes where returns come from, what risks exist, and what happens if things do not go as expected. If these answers are unclear, the opportunity is not ready for commitment. Clarity is always more important than speed. Many financial losses come from incomplete understanding. People often focus on potential outcomes without fully examining the process behind them. A strong approach requires attention to detail. If something is beneficial, it should be explainable in simple terms. Complexity without clarity is often a warning sign. Simple understanding builds confidence. Confusion creates risk. It is also important to separate trust in people from trust in financial decisions. A person may appear reliable or convincing, but that does not guarantee that their opportunity is safe. Financial decisions must stand on their own merit. Personal influence should never replace evaluation. This separation protects against emotional persuasion. Another essential practice is resisting overconfidence in intuition. While instinct can be helpful, it is not always accurate in financial matters. Decisions involving money require structure, not assumption. A careful approach reduces reliance on feeling and increases reliance on understanding. This balance improves decision quality. Protecting money also means recognizing patterns of unrealistic promises. When something sounds significantly better than normal expectations, it deserves deeper examination. Sustainable financial growth tends to be gradual and consistent. When returns appear unusually high or effortless, caution becomes necessary. Awareness of realistic outcomes helps prevent misjudgment. A disciplined financial mindset always considers risk before reward. Every opportunity carries some level of uncertainty. The question is not whether risk exists, but whether it is understood and acceptable. When risk is unclear, decision-making becomes unstable. Understanding risk creates control. Ignoring it creates exposure. Another important element is independence in thinking. External opinions can be useful, but final decisions must be based on personal understanding. Relying completely on others removes responsibility from the decision process. When responsibility is removed, learning also stops. Independent thinking ensures that each decision contributes to long-term financial awareness. Protecting money also involves learning from past experiences. Previous financial mistakes or successful decisions both provide information. Reviewing these experiences helps identify patterns in behavior. It shows what types of opportunities are more reliable and which ones tend to create problems. This awareness improves future judgment. Time is one of the strongest tools in financial protection. Taking time before committing allows emotions to settle and clarity to increase. Many poor decisions happen because of rushed timing. When time is used properly, unnecessary risks are often avoided. Waiting does not mean missing opportunities. It often means choosing more wisely. It is also important to maintain boundaries around financial decisions. Not every opportunity requires engagement. The ability to say no is a form of protection. Without boundaries, every offer feels worth considering. With boundaries, decisions become selective. This selectivity strengthens financial stability. Another layer of protection comes from simplicity. Complex financial arrangements are harder to understand and therefore carry higher risk. Simpler opportunities are easier to evaluate and manage. When something becomes too complicated to explain clearly, it becomes harder to trust fully. Simplicity creates transparency. Financial awareness also involves recognizing manipulation tactics. Some opportunities are designed to create emotional pressure or artificial scarcity. These tactics influence decision-making without providing full information. Awareness of these patterns reduces their effect and allows for more rational thinking. A strong habit is to evaluate opportunity impact on overall stability. Even if something offers potential gain, it should not weaken financial structure. Stability should always remain the priority. Any opportunity that threatens essential security should be reconsidered carefully. Growth should not come at the cost of safety. It is also valuable to seek understanding before commitment. Asking questions, researching details, and reviewing information are all part of responsible decision-making. The more clarity obtained before action, the lower the risk of regret later. Information reduces uncertainty. Protecting money is not about avoiding all opportunities. It is about choosing carefully. Not every opportunity is suitable, and not every promise leads to real benefit. Discernment is the key skill. The ability to distinguish between real value and appearance of value protects long-term financial health. Over time, this habit of careful evaluation becomes natural. Decisions become slower at first, but they become more accurate. As experience grows, the ability to identify strong opportunities improves. Fewer mistakes are made, and financial stability increases. Each time a decision is made with patience, protection strengthens. Each time an opportunity is evaluated carefully, awareness increases. Each time emotional pressure is resisted, discipline improves. These small actions build a strong foundation for financial security. In the end, protecting money by thinking before trusting opportunities is about awareness, patience, and responsibility. It is about slowing down enough to see clearly before acting. It is about choosing understanding over excitement and stability over impulse. This mindset ensures that financial decisions support long-term safety and sustainable growth, rather than short-term risk and uncertainty. Chapter 19. Surround yourself with people who respect financial discipline. Financial discipline is not only an individual effort, it is strongly influenced by the environment a person lives in. The people around us shape our thinking, habits, and decisions more than we often realize. When the environment encourages responsible behavior with money, discipline becomes easier to maintain. When the environment normalizes careless spending, discipline becomes harder to sustain. This is why surrounding yourself with people who respect financial discipline is a powerful factor in long-term financial success. Human behavior naturally adapts to surroundings. Over time, individuals begin to mirror the habits, attitudes, and expectations of those they spend time with. If a person is surrounded by individuals who spend without planning, avoid saving, or treat money carelessly, those behaviors can gradually feel normal. On the other hand, when surrounded by people who think carefully before spending, prioritize stability, and respect financial boundaries, those behaviors also begin to feel natural. Financial discipline becomes easier when it is supported by the environment rather than resisted by it. In a supportive environment, good decisions are reinforced. Saving money is respected, thoughtful spending is encouraged, long-term thinking is valued. This reduces the internal struggle required to maintain discipline. Instead of constantly resisting pressure, the environment itself supports better choices. One of the strongest influences of environment is mindset. People often adopt the financial beliefs of those around them. If the dominant mindset in a group is focused on short-term satisfaction, quick spending, and appearance-based success, individuals within that group may begin to prioritize the same things. This can slowly weaken financial stability. However, when surrounded by individuals who value planning, patience, and responsibility, mindset shifts toward long-term thinking. Respect for financial discipline does not mean avoiding enjoyment. It means understanding balance. People who respect discipline still enjoy life, but they do so within limits that support stability. They do not allow short-term desires to destroy long-term progress. Being around such individuals helps reinforce the idea that financial control and enjoyment can exist together. Another important aspect of environment is influence during decision-making. Many financial decisions are influenced by conversations, suggestions, or comparisons with others. If those around you frequently encourage unnecessary spending or lifestyle upgrades, it becomes harder to resist those influences. However, when people around you value careful decision-making, it becomes easier to pause and evaluate choices properly. Social pressure is a powerful force in financial behavior. Without awareness, it can lead to spending that is not aligned with personal goals. People may feel the need to match the lifestyle of others, even if it does not fit their financial capacity. Being surrounded by individuals who respect discipline reduces this pressure. It creates a sense of normality around responsible choices rather than excessive ones. Financial discipline also grows through observation. Watching how disciplined individuals manage money can provide practical insight. Their habits, such as planning expenses, avoiding unnecessary debt, or thinking before making purchases, can serve as real examples of effective behavior. Learning through observation is often more impactful than theory alone. It is also important to recognize that influence is not always direct. Even casual conversations about money, spending habits, or lifestyle choices can shape thinking. When discussions frequently revolve around consumption and material comparison, it can subtly shift priorities. In contrast, conversations focused on goals, saving, and long-term planning encourage more stable thinking patterns. Surrounding yourself with disciplined individuals also strengthens accountability. When people around you value financial responsibility, there is a natural sense of awareness about your own actions. This does not come from judgment, but from shared standards. Accountability helps maintain consistency even when motivation is low. Another benefit is emotional stability. Financially disciplined environments tend to reduce impulsive behavior. When others around you are calm and intentional with money decisions, it becomes easier to adopt the same emotional approach. This reduces stress and improves clarity during financial choices. It is also important to understand that influence works in both directions. Just as others affect your financial habits, your behavior also affects those around you. Being part of a disciplined environment not only supports your growth, but also encourages others to maintain or improve their own financial behavior. This creates a positive cycle of mutual improvement. Choosing the right environment requires awareness. It involves observing how people treat money, how they talk about financial decisions, and what values they prioritize. Individuals who consistently make careless financial choices may unintentionally create pressure or instability in your own decision-making process. Recognizing this helps in making better choices about social connections. Financial discipline is easier to maintain when there is alignment between personal goals and social environment. When your surroundings reflect your financial values, there is less internal conflict. Decisions feel more natural because they are supported externally as well as internally. However, it is not always possible to completely control environment. In such cases, it becomes important to create boundaries. This may involve limiting exposure to negative financial influences or being more intentional about who you take advice from. Protecting financial mindset sometimes requires selective engagement. Another important point is that disciplined environments encourage long-term thinking. When people around you value patience and planning, it becomes easier to resist short-term temptation. Long-term goals feel more realistic when they are supported by collective understanding rather than isolated effort. Being around financially disciplined individuals also improves knowledge. Conversations often include practical insights, experiences, and strategies related to money management. This informal learning can strengthen financial awareness and improve decision-making over time. Consistency becomes easier in the right environment. When discipline is the norm rather than the exception, maintaining good habits requires less effort. There is less resistance because the surrounding behavior reinforces the same direction. It is also important to avoid environments where financial irresponsibility is normalized. When overspending, debt accumulation, or lack of planning is treated as normal behavior, it becomes harder to recognize these patterns as harmful. Normalization reduces awareness, which weakens discipline. Financial growth is not only about income or strategy, it is also about influence. The environment either supports or weakens financial discipline. Choosing to be around people who respect financial responsibility is a form of self-protection. It helps maintain clarity, reduce pressure, and strengthen long-term decision-making. Over time, the influence of a disciplined environment becomes deeply integrated. Financial behavior becomes more stable, decisions become more thoughtful, emotional reactions to money decrease. Stability increases not just because of individual effort, but because of consistent reinforcement from surroundings. Each interaction with disciplined individuals strengthens awareness. Each observation of responsible behavior reinforces good habits. Each conversation that values stability supports long-term thinking. These repeated influences gradually shape financial identity. In the end, surrounding yourself with people who respect financial discipline is about choosing an environment that supports your goals rather than challenges them. It is about recognizing that financial behavior is influenced by context as much as by intention. When the environment aligns with discipline, maintaining financial stability becomes a natural outcome rather than a constant struggle. Chapter 20. Commit to lifelong learning to master your financial psychology. Financial psychology is not something a person masters once and then finishes. It is an ongoing process that develops through continuous learning, reflection, and adjustment. Money behavior is influenced by emotions, habits, environment, and past experiences. These influences do not remain fixed. They evolve over time. This is why lifelong learning is essential. Without it, financial behavior becomes stagnant, and repeated patterns continue without improvement. Committing to lifelong learning means accepting that financial understanding is never complete. There is always more to understand about how decisions are made, how emotions affect spending, and how habits shape long-term outcomes. A person who continues learning remains adaptable. A person who stops learning becomes limited by their existing understanding. In a changing financial world, adaptability is a key strength. Financial psychology is deeply connected to awareness. Many financial decisions are made automatically without full conscious attention. These decisions are shaped by habits formed over time. Lifelong learning brings awareness to these patterns. It helps a person recognize why certain choices are made and how they can be improved. This awareness is the foundation of change. One of the most important aspects of learning financial psychology is understanding emotional influence. Money decisions are rarely purely logical. Emotions such as fear, desire, impatience, and insecurity often play a role. Without awareness, these emotions can silently guide decisions. Learning helps identify these emotional triggers and reduce their control. Over time, decisions become more balanced and intentional. Lifelong learning also helps build better habits. Habits form through repetition, but they can be reshaped through understanding. When a person learns why a habit exists and how it affects financial outcomes, they gain the ability to adjust it. This process does not happen instantly. It requires consistent reflection and application. Each small improvement strengthens long-term financial behavior. Another important part of financial psychology is understanding delayed consequences. Many financial decisions do not show their impact immediately. The results appear later, sometimes months or years after the decision is made. Learning helps connect present actions with future outcomes. This connection improves decision-making because it highlights the long-term effects of short-term behavior. Lifelong learning also improves patience. As understanding deepens, a person becomes more aware that financial growth is a gradual process. This reduces the tendency to expect immediate results. Patience becomes easier when there is clarity about how growth actually works. This patience supports consistency, which is essential for financial stability. Another key element is learning from experience. Every financial decision, whether successful or not, carries information. Without reflection, this information is lost. With learning, it becomes useful. Reviewing past decisions helps identify patterns, strengths, and weaknesses. This continuous reflection turns experience into improvement. Financial psychology also involves understanding personal limits. Every individual has tendencies that influence behavior. Some may struggle with impulsive spending. Others may avoid financial planning. Lifelong learning helps identify these tendencies without judgment. Awareness allows for targeted improvement instead of generalized effort. This makes personal development more effective. Learning also reduces financial anxiety. Many fears around money come from uncertainty or lack of understanding. When knowledge increases, uncertainty decreases. A clearer understanding of financial behavior and systems creates a sense of control. This control reduces stress and improves confidence in decision-making. Another important benefit of continuous learning is better decision structure. Instead of reacting emotionally to financial situations, a learned mindset approaches decisions with structure. It considers consequences, evaluates options, and makes informed choices. This structured thinking reduces mistakes and improves outcomes over time. Lifelong learning also strengthens discipline. As awareness grows, it becomes easier to recognize when behavior is not aligned with long-term goals. This recognition helps correct actions early. Discipline is not only about control. It is about understanding why control is necessary. Learning provides that understanding. Financial psychology also includes understanding external influence. Advertising, social comparison, and cultural expectations all affect financial decisions. Without awareness, these influences can shape behavior unconsciously. Helps you to identify these pressures and reduce their impact. This allows decisions to be based more on personal goals rather than external expectations. Another important aspect is adaptability to change. Financial environments evolve over time. New tools, systems, and opportunities appear. A person committed to lifelong learning stays updated and adjusts accordingly. This adaptability ensures continued relevance and stability in changing conditions. Learning also improves goal setting. Without understanding financial behavior, goals can be unrealistic or unclear. With deeper knowledge, goals become more structured and achievable. They are based on actual behavior patterns and financial capacity rather than assumption. This increases the likelihood of success. Financial psychology also teaches the importance of consistency. Small actions repeated over time have greater impact than occasional large efforts. Learning reinforces this idea by showing how habits build long-term results. This understanding encourages steady progress rather than inconsistent effort. Another key benefit of lifelong learning is improved self-control. As awareness of financial triggers increases, it becomes easier to pause before acting. This pause creates space for better decisions. Over time, this habit of reflection becomes automatic and strengthens financial stability. Learning also helps reduce regret. Many financial regrets come from decisions made without full understanding. As knowledge increases, decisions become more informed. This reduces the likelihood of actions that lead to negative outcomes. Even when mistakes happen, they become learning opportunities rather than repeated patterns. Financial psychology is closely linked to identity. A person's belief about themselves influences how they handle money. Lifelong learning helps reshape identity from someone who reacts financially to someone who manages money with awareness. This identity shift supports long-term growth and stability. Another important element is understanding progress cycles. Financial growth is not linear. There are periods of fast improvement and periods of slow development. Learning helps normalize these cycles. This understanding reduces frustration during slower phases and maintains motivation. Lifelong learning also strengthens resilience. Financial setbacks are part of life. Without understanding, setbacks can lead to discouragement. With learning, setbacks are seen as feedback. This perspective allows recovery and continued progress without losing direction. Over time, continuous learning builds financial wisdom. Wisdom is not just knowledge. It is the ability to apply understanding in real situations. It develops through experience combined with reflection. A person committed to learning continuously improves their ability to make sound financial decisions. Another important point is that learning does not always require formal education. It can come from observation, experience, reading, reflection, or conversation. What matters is the willingness to understand and improve. Every situation becomes an opportunity to learn something about financial behavior. Financial psychology also improves through self-observation. Paying attention to how emotions affect decisions in real time helps develop deeper awareness. This awareness is essential for long-term control and improvement. Commitment to lifelong learning ensures that financial growth does not stagnate. It keeps the mind active, adaptable, and aware. It prevents repetition of the same mistakes and encourages continuous improvement. In the end, mastering financial psychology is not a final achievement. It is an ongoing journey. Each lesson learned improves understanding. Each reflection strengthens awareness. Each adjustment builds better habits. Over time, this continuous process creates a stable and disciplined financial life, supported by clarity, patience, and long-term thinking.